Look at us now.
Oh, Jesus.
It's what, 11 a.m.?
Combat.
Oh, there he is.
You fit in seamlessly in this weird MK environment.
Do you want a margarita? We're gonna do it. That's it. On your marks, get set, and go down.
Like a horny French waiter. Oh. What's up, everyone? How are you doing here on this, Friday the 13th? That's ominous. Here on Morning Kombat. Welcome, everyone, into today's show. We have a lot to get to. My name is Luke Thomas. I join you from the capital of Estados Unidos right here in Washington, D.C., joined by my friend. He is, it's been a while since he's been on the show, actually, as a matter of fact. I think we had you on in studio last time, if I recall, from MMA Junkie, from Miami, Florida. It's my friend and yours. It's Danny Segura. Hi, Danny. Welcome back, good sir.
Thank you. Pleasure being here. Always a pleasure to talk MMA with you. I promise I will do my best to sneak in as many dick jokes as possible in honor of Brian Campbell, but, just keep the expectations fairly low. Take it easy on me.
How is South Florida treating you, Danny? Give us an update. How are things?
It's good. Everything's good. Weather's great. It hasn't been too hot, which is awesome. Apart from being on the verge of World War III, life is good down here, man. Life is always good in sunny Miami.
Yes, it certainly is. And we have a busy show to get to today, not about the war in the Middle East, and instead some funner topics, I hope. A gigantic slate of fights were announced last night. We're going to go piece through all of them. We're also going to react to some of the news that we missed following Monday's MK related to that Ronda Rousey Gina Carano presser, which would include Francis Ngannou. Hello, we got fights tomorrow as well. UFC Fight Night, Josh Emmett taking on Kevin Vallejos. We'll talk about that as well, and some other smaller stories kind of circulating around the sport. Thumbs up if you're watching here on YouTube. Please hit subscribe, and of course, you can see down here all of our social channels. Danny, do you prefer a Twitter follow, or I guess an X follow, or an IG follow? What's your preference?
Probably an IG follow at this point. Like Twitter, I use it just because I kind of have to, but both would do, or either. I don't care.
Dude, if I got permanently banned from Twitter, it might be the happiest day of my life.
Twitter sucks.
And by the way, it's not fun anymore.
I'm thankful that you're still calling it Twitter because I still do. Even in my Slack channel or MMA Junkie, I'm always like, oh, I posted this on Twitter, this and that.
Yeah.
Fuck X.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Elon destroyed Twitter. It used to be a fun little platform. Now, not so much. I got like so many tabs for you, most popular, most recent. Bro, I just want, give me a timeline of who I follow and that's it. I don't want anything else.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see Nazi rhetoric or people getting shot at gas stations, boy, Twitter's got you covered. It's quite the sight. All right, so you can go there. If you want to reach the show, morningkombat@gmail.com. That'll be for dead wrongs. That'll be for fan subs. That'll be for if you want to talk to Long Island Luke or whoever's checking the email account, because it sure as hell ain't me. You can do that. morningkombat@gmail.com. And let's not forget, morningkombat.shop for your merch. This month, we have the Trasher, I'm putting up air quotes for that, here on this t-shirt and hoodie March exclusive. This is the only one we're doing, by the way, a t-shirt and hoodie combo for, certainly this month. And, of course, all these designs come to us from our friend Average Joe Art. Here's the Delta 8 one. We'll light it up for you. You can see there. And then certainly who can forget about the many times we've had the McDonald's Wi-Fi. That one made me laugh when I first saw this one. All of these are available only until March 31st. Until 11:59 p.m. in the East, or while supplies last. Danny, will plug it a little bit later in the show as well. But off the top, when you promote if I had to ask you where to get your content, just on Junkie, or like, what do you tell people when they ask that question?
Yeah, mainly all my English language content is on MMA Junkie. I did start making some content on my personal YouTube channel in English wise. And then I do obviously Spanish language content or at Hablemos MMA. So, just follow me on social media. You'll get all of it. But yeah, kind of that's how I split it.
All right. Very good. I think that's all of our bases covered to open the show. We have a lot to get to today, even for a Friday show. So without further ado, let's get to it. Now, as we intro this topic, as we get these things started, you know that we have to thank our friends over at Cuervo. Cuervo's taken good care of us here on MK for a long time. We love their stuff. We use it for all. For example, we enjoy it responsibly, and you should always enjoy it responsibly. We enjoy it responsibly during our pregame previews. And I want to talk about this gigantic slate of fights, but I want to talk about the crown jewel of what got announced. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that May 9th UFC 328 main event. We're going to do it with our friends from Cuervo. We're calling it What We're Mixing Up. And of course, for every round, keep it fun, keep it Cuervo. This is, of course, what we will have for the pregame preview coming up, by the way, next month. But again, enjoy responsibly, but we'll have this a little bit later in the month. One of our favorites here that we use on the show. Okay, with that in mind, as we get this segment going here, Danny Segura, let's talk about it. Now, I'm going to go slightly out of chronological order, but I wanted to go with what I thought was the biggest announcement that came from UFC President Dana White last night, as well as you had Michael Bisping on the panel, as well as Brendan Fitzgerald. Actually, real quick on that, if I may, I actually like that they had a much better presentation for a big announcement around the amount of fights that they had. I still thought it was kind of interesting. They'd be like, Brendan would be like, hey, Dana, what's the big fight? And he would announce it. And then Bisping would immediately get tagged in to do all of the analysis. So, like, it was definitely, to me, a better effort, Danny. But it was still pretty clear that Dana doesn't know what's happening in the UFC.
Like, you see, I'm being a good co-host here. You know, as you say things, I'm smiling, I'm nodding, I'm looking at the camera. Dude, Dana White was like dozing off and just had a face that he just wanted to get out of there ASAP. Like, Michael Bisping would be all hyped and this fight's awesome and this guy's fighting, and Dana White would be sitting like that. I don't know if we have a shot, like a screenshot of him, but the dude looked so disinterested. He looked way more happy in a Nina drama stream than announcing his own fights and his own main events for the upcoming cards that the UFC will be hosting. But yeah, that was very notable. But to your point, it was better than an Instagram Live. I guess we'll get into this obviously deeper into the show, but the UFC and specifically Dana White, they've been having a rough week, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people taking shots at them. They're getting attacked from all fronts. And I think if they would have rolled out another lifeless Instagram Live with Dana White just reading off a piece of paper and stumbling his words, dude, that would have been such a terrible week. They had to do something big. They did announce good fights, and they did it in a studio, which looked a lot better. But yeah, this was a must. The least they could do.
Room for improvement, let's say. All right, let's talk about the fight. The big one, May 9th in Newark, New Jersey. This, of course, will be on Paramount Plus at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, where I nearly got stabbed one time. Shouts to Newark. All right, Khamzat Chimaev taking on Sean Strickland. Now, we know the setup on this one, Danny. Chimaev's kind of been waiting for a fight. He was out the first and not quite the second quarter of the year, but certainly wasn't available right at the beginning of it. They weren't going to put a guy like this in all likelihood on the White House card, certainly against an opponent like this. The big question on everyone's mind is, A, do you love the fight? Like, what's your enthusiasm level for it? Cards on the table. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I don't like the fight. I like the fight. The only big question is, what are they going to do with Nasruddin Imavov? And we'll talk about the breakdown of the main event itself in just a second. But the big question was, hey, didn't Imavov have like a 5-fight win streak? Wasn't this the guy that had put together a big, long, nice win streak? Where, on the other hand, certainly we'll all agree at UFC Houston, Sean Strickland performed very ably, but it does feel like he's jumping the queue. Where do you come down on the UFC's decision to slot in Strickland in this main event role?
Oof, this is such a tough topic, and I was kind of discussing this last night in a live reaction on my Spanish channel. But you know, for the most part, like I'll give the UFC some criticism when they skip over a rightful contender and they just make a fight because it's either more appealing to the fan base or because they have a better relationship with the fighters, etc. But this is one of those odd cases where merit-wise, I mean, there's no arguing that Nasruddin Imavov deserves the opportunity, but the better fight is Strickland. And if, as a customer, as a fan, just putting my journalist role aside, looking at the fight, like if I had to pay, and again, we're not in pay-per-view era anymore, but if I had to pay $50 to watch Strickland versus Khamzat or Strickland versus or Khamzat versus Imavov, I'm paying for the Strickland Khamzat fight. I do think the buildup is going to be a lot more interesting, even though it might get a little weird in some territories. But the fight is interesting. I do think Strickland poses the more interesting threats. And this is all around the bigger fight. And in an era where the UFC has been pretty shitty and the product has been very boring and bland over the last couple of years, this is nice. There is some hype. I'm hyped about this. I'm excited about this. So sorry, Nasruddin Imavov. He definitely deserves the opportunity, but over Strickland. But this is the better fight.
I basically agree. I mean, I don't know what the right answer is in this particular equation because somebody's going to get done wrong. And what I mean by that is if they had gone, Danny, with the Imavov fight, okay, did you give it to the guy who done the most work to get the fight? Yes, you did. On the other hand, I think a lot of folks would be saying, well, now what are we going to do with Sean Strickland? And also, are we really going to give up? I mean, there are not that many organic kind of like real feuds in modern MMA or modern UFC. This is an example of one. This is a real feud. The guys used to train together. They have real bad blood. I agree with you. I think that that media week is just going to be ignorant. I mean, it's
hey, and out of all places in New York, New Jersey, I think it's just perfect, man.
It's going to be ignorant, and you know, whatever. But the point being is there more heat on this? Is there more interest in this? And not for nothing, but like the other problem that Imavov faces here is I'm not saying that Sean Strickland, Danny, is the guy to beat Khamzat. Maybe he will. I don't know. I think Khamzat's going to come. Long Island Luke, I didn't even introduce you at the top of the show. I apologize for that. Please forgive me. I was trying to get right to the program.
Thanks a lot, bro. Rocking the new merch and everything.
Sorry about that. My bad, brother. You are the third member of the show here. Sincerest apologies. So thank you for being here. MVP, if ever there was one. All right. With that in mind. Come back. I have a question for you. Do we have early odds on this particular matchup?
I could look right now. Let me check.
Yeah, please do, because I'd be curious to know. I would imagine, Danny, that a guy like Chimaev is going to be the favorite, no matter if it's Imavov or if it's Strickland. But the other problem here is that, like, dude, Strickland's takedown defense, not for nothing, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And again, is that enough to beat Chimaev? Let's see. What do the odds say?
From our friends at DraftKings, Chimaev -410, Strickland +320.
Okay. They don't have it that competitive, but this is the problem. I don't think Imavov is more competitive relative to Strickland against Chimaev. Do you agree?
100%. So yeah, this on top of, like, you know, from a media perspective and buzz perspective, like the buildup is going to be way more entertaining and way more interesting than Imavov. But the fight itself, like the mechanics of the fight, because usually when you skip a rightful number one contender, as we see in the case of Imavov, you're trading hype for a better fight. And that's where I have my issue. Like, F the hype, that always comes secondary. F the press conference. I'd rather get a proper quality fight than a shitty fight, but a really good press conference, which was my issue with the interim lightweight title. But in this case, not only are you trading more hype, but you're also trading for the more competitive fight, at least on paper. I agree 100% with you. Strickland poses the better threats and the more interesting challenge for Chimaev.
Are you at all, and I'm being serious about here, are you a little bit worried about the fight week?
A little bit, but I don't know if I've become desensitized to just bigotry and just, like, you know, messed up stuff. But because of MMA, I'm constantly exposed to people just saying horrible shit to each other 24/7. But it is the fight game. So, you know, again, I'm not going to agree with probably like 100% of the stuff that's going to be being said, but it is a fist fight. And I don't know about you, Luke, but the UFC has been so uniform in all of these events and everyone's has been like so professional. I kind of miss like a John Jones, Daniel Cormier. I kind of want to go into a fight week with the feeling that there might be a fight before the actual fight. That's exciting to me as a fight fan. So I share your concerns about the stuff being said. Certainly not a good look on the sport, but man, this sport has taken so many L's in terms of, you know, how it looks to the wider audience. We're having an event at the White House in the middle of a war. and in the middle of one of the most controversial administrations. So am I super worried about this? No, I think this is one of the least of my worries. But yeah,
my basic view is if they have the requisite amount of security, it should be fine. I just hope that they're ready for that kind of a challenge. Long Island Luke, where are you on this question? Imavov and Strickland, did UFC make the right call?
Yeah, as much as I hate to admit it, like Danny's right. Like this will be fun. It'll be a fun build up, whatever. Imavov, no one was going to care about it on fight night. Great. It's a good fight. It's number 1 contender, but like part of me does feel like Imavov might have a better chance to beat Khamzat, but that doesn't mean it's a more interesting fight. Does that make any sense? Like, I feel like he has a chance, but I still don't want to see it. I don't really care. I think this was the right move.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say too is, Strickland's ability to get a hothead like Chimaev off of his game should not be discounted either, right? He's a guy who'll just say insane shit. And Chimaev, not for nothing, is not especially restrained or disciplined. I wonder if that might play a role come fight night as well. Let's put up the big graphic here if we can for the entire card for this UFC 328. Now, we've been talking about this main event, Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland. Let's get to some of the other portions of this card because we actually have a lot of fights to get to here. So I'll read them out. Alexander Volkov is going to take on Waldo Cortez Acosta in the co-main. Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley got moved out of the Apex into this card, which I think adds a ton of value to it. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, I don't need to see the rematch between Blachowicz and Guskov. They're going to do it anyway.
I like it.
Okay, we'll come to you in just a second. And then King Green versus Jeremy Stevens. Another fight I definitely do not hate. However, it made me go, wait, what year is this? So rate this card for me and walk me through what you think some of the highlights and lowlights are.
I'm hyped for this card. I like it. I'll give it given the standard has dropped a little bit, I'll give it a 9 out of 10, man.
Wow.
I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's very good. I love the main event. I love the co-main event, and the rest of the fights on the card are relevant, which is the main thing I ask for the UFC. Like, how many fights do we sit through week in, week out where we're just wondering what the hell does this mean, right? Like, all these fights are relevant. All these fights have, in some sort of way, title implications. Obviously, the main event being a championship fight. Co-main event definitely has title implications. And the rest of the card involves ranked fighters. So this is a very relevant card and very well match-made.
Let's talk about that co-main event. In the case of Volkov, I feel like he's a guy who got cheated by Gane, or at least by the authorities. Not so much Gane himself, but you get the idea. And then I really want that to be rectified. On the other hand, how do you not get behind the momentum of Waldo Cortez Acosta, who's just been dealing for, like, even with some setbacks in the last year, actually, nevertheless managed to overcome them and then some. Two guys, in my judgment, who would be fine to get title shots. I just feel like for Volkov, Danny, the speed and the athleticism of Cortez Acosta might be a little much, no?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know what the odds are, but I would assume Waldo is the favorite. And yeah, Waldo's awesome. Waldo is sneaky good. People don't really give him that much credit, but he's one of the more technical strikers in the heavyweight division. He's got a really, really nice jab. And, I've interviewed him a lot. I've interviewed his coach as well a lot. And, his coach is enamored with Waldo's reflexes as well. And that's something that I feel like people don't talk about often. Yeah, he's got power. Yeah, he's got nice striking, but his reflexes are amazing. And I think that comes from, his time playing baseball. The dude, has great head movement. He rarely gets hit clean. He's a very, very good fighter, man. And I think that he can pose, he's a serious threat to the title. Right now, he's kind of not exactly in a Derek Lewis territory, but I think he's kind of seen a little bit in that light where it's just a fun knockout artist. But watch out for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he gives the champion, whoever that ends up being in the future, some trouble.
Are you watching the World Baseball Classic at all?
No, just everybody tripping out on social media. I do like that.
I can see why he did not excel through the ranks of the Dominican team. It's one Terminator after another on that squad. It's insane how good they are. Okay. The fight that I think is just or the main event obviously is your crown jewel, whatever. But the fight that I care beyond that the most, that's Sean Brady, Joaquin Buckley fight. I love this fight. This to me reminds me a little bit of what we were talking about with the case of RDR versus Kyle Bahalio, two guys who were kind of looking to get right and needed it. Here's a perfect example of that. Buckley showing tremendous weakness in the grappling relative to Kamaru Usman. Sean Brady just couldn't get anything going against Morales. Not necessarily some kind of horrible loss in either case, Danny, in the sense of you're not losing to scrubs, but the losses were very authoritative in both cases. This is a get-right fight. Who do you lean towards early in this one?
I'm gonna go Sean Brady. But this is a tricky fight. I didn't really like the way Sean Brady reacted to some of the shots that before he actually got caught against Morales. And, I'm not saying that Buckley has the same power, but I think he could do some similar things, throw some wild shots, throw some heat. And, I am concerned about sort of that response, but I do think the better fighter overall is Sean Brady, and he should take this one.
Now, you like this Blachowicz-Guskov fight. To me, this is the one.
Guskov, by the way, Guskov is awesome. The light heavyweight division sucks, man. But this is a fighter that goes out there. First of all, he has a cool look to him. Like he looks badass.
Yes.
He goes out there, he fights, he's technical, but he also likes to brawl. And that fight against Blachowicz was a fun fight, and it ended in a majority draw, I believe. Run it back. How many fun fights can you make at 205? Not many. So if I have to rewatch it just to get a fun fight out of 205, yeah, I'm down.
Not for me. I will say, though, King Green versus Jeremy Stevens, it's just very hard to see how that sucks. It's very, very difficult. And King Green...
This is not a pay-per-view fight, though. Come on.
Which one?
King Green versus Jeremy Stevens.
I agree. I agree.
Want to fight
I like it.
But I don't have some visceral negative reaction to it. It's a fun ass
I kind of
fight.
do, man. People were coming at me for defending the White House card. I think this card is kind of shit. This is like a 6 out of 10.
Really?
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
The top 3 fights are good. I'm with you, Luke. I have Danny, you made a good point that light heavyweight does suck. So sure, run that fight back. But I'm still not whoa, I'm hyped to see Blachowicz-Guskov too. And then King Green, Jeremy Stevens should be maybe the featured prelim at best, definitely on the prelims, maybe the featured prelim. You need one more solid top 15 fight.
I agree with that. I'd agree with that. Again, when I saw that they put King Green versus Jeremy Stevens, I was like, bro, is this 2007? What year is this?
It's just kind of weird. Also,
it is kind of weird.
King Green just beat Daniel Zellhuber. Why are you now downgrading him to Jeremy Stevens? I get it's a name, but it's he should kind of be working his way up in the rankings, not against.
You're
tripping.
Man. You're tripping, man.
Dude.
King Green's not going to be champion. Just put him in some fun fights for whatever remains of his
with
career.
you
He's
on
almost
that.
40 years old.
I'm with you on that, but why Jeremy? Jeremy's fucking...
Jeremy bangs, bro. He's the hardest hitting 45er now fighting at 155.
Tell that to
almost
fucking
40
Mason
years old.
Jones.
Yeah.
Tell that to Mason Jones, who wrestle fucked him for 15 minutes. I mean, he's not the same. He's not the same Jeremy. He's also under 500 in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. He's 15 and 16. So
sneaky record, though. Sneaky record.
Yeah,
I would say it doesn't do justice to what he brings in terms of MMA quality and violence. I'm a Jeremy Stevens fan, man, and I like Bobby Green as well. So I think that fight bangs, and it's a good fight to open up the card.
Fair
Here
enough.
I am defending the UFC.
It'll happen. You'll catch me doing it time and again. All right. Also in that card, very
25K on my wedding.
Yeah, that's right. Also adding to the card, not main card, but I think it'll obviously be added to the overall fight card. Ateba Gautier, who won his last fight but looked a little green, taking on Ozzy Diaz. I'm going to guess that's going to be the featured prelim. I just want to say one more time, big thanks to our friends at Cuervo. It's what we're mixing up, presented by Cuervo. For every round, keep it fun, keep it Cuervo. We'll see you guys back in studio for the pregame preview the week of, I think, April 11th. So we'll be back there. That'll be a good time. Let's talk about some of the other announcements. Put up the Bronstetter tweets if we can, Long Island Luke. Let's check those out here. Now, this is what they there's a bunch of stuff they added that we talked about the crown jewel part. Here are some of the other ones. So that co-main event that's going to be in Winnipeg, that's the Mike Malott and on the Gilbert Burns main event. Charles Jourdain taking on Kyler Phillips. That's a fun fight. Aljamain Sterling versus Youssef Zalal is going to headline at the Apex the following week. That is a hell of a fight. We'll talk about that in just a second here. And then Beneil Dariush taking on Quillan Salkilld. Also, by the way, a really, really, really good co-main event. That's going to be on that JDS Carlos Praches main event. Let's talk about very, very quick. Oh, and we'll come back to that. So let's talk now about the Aljamain Sterling, Youssef Zalal. Not much to dislike here. You can argue, Danny, hey, Should a fight like this have maybe been on a bigger card or whatever? Like, you can, I think, argue about where they put it and what that means. But just as a fight itself, Youssef Zalal is one of the most, I won't say surprising, but resurgent cases of fighter growth I've ever seen. Certainly in the featherweight division, they've had a lot of good guys, but more recently to do that kind of a thing, versus Aljamain Sterling, sort of known quality, still hunting for a title. Do you share my enthusiasm for this contest?
Yeah, I love this fight. Youssef Zalal is the dark horse in that division. He's great. He's, as you mentioned, he's had an incredible comeback. And I do disagree a little bit with you in terms of this fight being on a bigger event. I do think a main event spot for a fight night, I think it's proper.
I don't think it's improper for that. What I'm saying is I'd rather this be on the May pay-per-view card than Jeremy Stephens versus King Green. You know what I mean?
Right, but
that's kind of where I'm at.
King Green and Jeremy Stephens on the main event of a UFC Apex card.
I'm just saying we should have less events. You know what I mean?
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't disagree that like it serves that role. Like there's no way to look at it and be like, oh, this doesn't serve what they're trying to do. I get that part. What is your sense of how these two match up, Sterling and Zalal?
I do think Zalal is way better striker than Sterling. I think in the grappling, it's going to be very even. I do think Sterling has a superior back take, so I wonder if he's able to get to that position. I think, it's going to be a wrap, and, he's going to be there for the entirety of the round. I don't know if he subs Zalal, but I think he can steal a round or two that way. If I'm Salal's team, I'm looking to keep this fight standing and minimize the 50-50s in the grappling department. And if I'm Aljamain Sterling, I'm looking to drag this fight to the ground because I think there's a clear speed advantage and a technical advantage on the feet. So in favor for Zalal, obviously. So yeah, that's more or less how I see it.
And I also feel like, honestly, UFC's kind of looking at this and being like, Aljo, if you're going to move up to title contention in this division, we got to see what you got right now. You know what I mean? Like, this is, if Zalal wins this, it basically closes the door for Sterling. I would argue potentially even permanently at 145. By contrast, if he goes up there and gets the job done and looks particularly good against Zalal, I think that completely changes his fortune. So a huge bout of consequence for Zalal, definitely, but really what's left of the UFC career of Sterling. Is it going to be fun fights, or are you actually going to make a move to the title? This is going to be one of those kind of very decisive moments in the course of his career. Let's go back to some of these announcements if we can here on the screen, Long Island. So this is another one. Arnold, we'll talk about it. Arnold Allen taking on Melky Costa, May 16th main event at the Apex. That's a phenomenal fight. Mm-hmm. Then in Macau, China, I think this is, it's whatever. Song Yadong taking on Davison Figueiredo as your main event. It makes sense for Macau. I get it. Zhang Ming Yang, I think the Snow Leopard taking on Alonzo Menefield. Fine, whatever. Sergey Pavlovich versus Taliesin Teixeira. I don't quite get as other than just like a banger for as long as it lasts. And then Bilal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim, your June 6th main event. Mountain Tiger, not Snow Leopard. Excuse me. I knew it was one of the big cats in nature. Okay, so let's talk about that Arnold Allen versus Melky Costa fight. Love it. Costa on a tear, been on a tear for a while. Started this year. First guy to stop Dan Ige. Arnold Allen, always good against everyone except the very, very best, right? So this is another one of those fights, Danny, where it's like, Arnold, what do you really have left? And for Melky, he could easily just break through with a win like this.
100%. Dude, Melky Costa's awesome. He's got a bit of everything. He's dangerous everywhere. I'm a big fan of this guy. And Arnold Allen has, he's never, whenever he's had the chance to, become sort of the man in the division and really cement himself as the threat to the title, he hasn't been able to sort of turn that corner, right? He's always kind of lingered around being between, 7 and 5 in the division, and he's never been able to like really get in there and step through into the top 5 rankings. So I think much like we were discussing in the Youssef Zalal fight and Aljamain Sterling, this is a similar scenario where it's like Arnold, like he's still young enough where he can do something, but he's also old enough where, time's running out and and he doesn't have much left. So I think this is it. This is a do or die for him. If he's going to make a run for the title and really turn that corner, he's got to beat Costa here. And Costa, again, a big fight for him, but not as consequential, very similar to the stakes that Zalal has, where, you know, if he loses, is not the end of the world, certainly not good, but not the end of the world for his career. But if he wins, man, I mean, all of a sudden he's a protagonist and he's a main figure in that division.
Your reaction to the UFC Macau card, I want to be clear. I'm not going to sit up here and be like, "Oh, it's the worst thing I've ever seen." It's a fight night card. It's in Macau. I'm not really sure what to make of it. The issue for me is Song Yadong and Davison Figueiredo. It's two guys who we both would probably agree are very capable fighters, but it feels like their stock has been deflated, and so you're getting two guys with deflated stock at the same time, which sometimes can be interesting. But in a main event role, I don't have a strong reaction to it one way or the other, I suppose.
Yeah, with these regional cards, I cut them some slack because for me, for example, and I'd like to get Long Island Luke's opinion as well. But like, for example, every year when the UFC goes to Mexico, since I, you know, follow closely all these Latin American fighters, for me, it's always a good card. But I always hear the criticism that this card sucks, this card sucks. So I think internationally, you know, it doesn't have a big appeal, but because we don't have that local experience, right? But I'm sure people in China, you know, follow all these guys closely and or from the area, and they think this is a good card. So I always wanna respect the regional aspect of it. And I think, you know, we used to criticize, or at least me personally, we used to criticize the UFC on like not, you know, putting fighters in their markets. Like, why is this guy fighting, you know, in Canada when his hometown fight is in 2 weeks or whatever? But lately they've been doing a good job. Like, look at the Canada fight, look at this card, look at this card as well, look at the Mexico card. They do a good job at catering to the audience that's present. And the only one thing that I want to point out, which is kind of weird, I don't know how you feel about it, I believe all four fighters in the main and co-main event, they're all coming off losses.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell
right?
yeah.
Am I wrong?
So, by the way, on that UFC Mexico card you're talking about, that was the first card all year where there wasn't a single pair that were coming. Both guys were coming off of wins, or ladies. There was at least one person in that equation that was coming off of a loss.
Yeah. God, I love monopolies, huh?
Yeah. I'm like, I've been warning people, but okay, putting that aside. And then last but not least, the Bilal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim. Bit of a disparity in the rankings there. Muhammad kind of giving Bonfim a little bit of a boost here in terms of what's possible for him. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this main event. It's like Muhammad should probably win, and I don't know where that leaves us. Bonfim has some skills that I do think are better than Bilal, but Bilal is like also kind of criminally underrated. Maybe Bilal's not the best guy at 170 pounds, but he's better than a lot of the guys. I suspect that Gabriel's that one. My feeling on this fight, Danny, is that they probably tried to make a different fight and they couldn't, and this was the replacement one. That's what this one looks like to me.
Yeah. Out of all the fights, I do agree with you. I have an issue with this fight. How the fuck did they not make Kamaru Usman versus Bilal Muhammad? Like, how is that not possible?
Dude,
that is a home
Kamaru
run.
must have turned it down.
Fight to make. Well, he's not. He's already. I understand Bilal Kamaru Usman not wanting to take the fight because he was kind of in the running for that welterweight title fight against Islam Makhachev. But since even him, like he himself, I'm not talking about other sources or whatever, he's kind of throwing it out there that or making it seem like they've already passed them over that, and he's not getting that opportunity, and it's between Michael Morales and Ian Machado Gary. So dude, if you know you're not gonna get the Islam Makhachev fight a former champion. That's the next best thing. And you got beef with Bilal Muhammad. You can get wins over, you know, Joaquin Buckley and Bilal, you know, pair those. Then maybe you can go for a title fight. I don't know. For me, that was a home run. And I guess, yeah, maybe the UFC tried to make it and they couldn't, as you said. But yeah, I have an issue with this fight. It's not the fight that excites me the most.
One thing that we should also add, PFL made an announcement, by the way. There's some other ones that we didn't even get to. Rat Garbage is back, taking on Jai Herbert. That's kind of fun. Lando Venata versus Darius Flowers. That'll be on April 4th. If you give a fuck, and I don't, Marcin Tybura taking on Tyrell Fortune. This will be on the UFC Seattle card. However, we also did get one announcement from PFL, of all places. We could put the graphic up here on the screen. Dovletsdan Yagshimuradov, who was in the initial, folks might remember, the Bellator light heavyweight tourney, taking on UFC veteran Tyson Pedro. I got to say, this will be in that Belfast card. Long Island. Not
That's
a
my
bad
boy.
fight.
That's my boy, Tyson Pedro. Let's
Mhm.
fucking go. He's probably gonna lose, but it'll be a fun fight. I'll watch it.
Yakshim Muradov, he's nothing special, but he ain't bad either.
It's a weird time, that card. It says Thursday. I don't know if that's local in Belfast or our time, like either way, but I think it's going to be catered to them, so it'll probably be like Thursday morning our time.
Bro, and PFL will be like, oh, here's how you watch, fold your hands and then look inside, and you might just see the magic of the PFL. It's like, dude, how do you watch PFL? I don't know. Find your kid's diorama project, at school or whatever the fuck. Like, you never know which next PFL event is going to be on your phone. It's just fucking insane. But okay, putting that aside,
PFL a little bit. The matchmaking and this fight speaks of it. Has been okay lately, right? Like, we've gotten some interesting fights.
I'm excited about. We weren't even talking about it, but like they've got 2 events this month. I think one next week, and then the last week. Bro, these are good ass fights they've got lined up. I'm excited about it. It's just it's just the inconsistency with them is really, really annoying. I'll put it that way. All right. Let's go to topic number 2 if we can. So this happened after Monday's MK. I know a lot of other shows have kind of already had the chance to weigh on it, but it's Friday, so we're going to do this here on MK today. Namely, there was the kind of official kickoff presser for Netflix's Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano event. And those 2 were there. Jake Paul was there. Nikisa Badarian was there. Francis Ngannou was there. Felipe Lins was there, although he very much looked like the odd man out. But let's talk about what we saw from Rousey. She unloaded on the UFC where listen, let me ask the question in just a second. We actually have a clip. Watch this clip. It's a bit of a collection of all the things she said, Danny. Let's watch it, and then I want you to react. Let's go.
It's just not about putting on the best fights possible anymore. Dana isn't the owner, and he isn't calling the shots, and he isn't running things the way that he wants because he's an employee of the company. It was a big mistake of theirs to not let him just run things the way that he always has. Oh, he knows the White House card sucks. Like he knows that they were pushing this for over a year, and it fell extremely short of expectations. I mean, he was so upset about it. He was talking about a fight falling out the day before. It's I can guarantee you he's not happy with it either. It used to be that UFC was the best place that you could come in combat sports to make a living and be paid fairly, and now it's no longer. It's one of the worst places to go. It's why so many of their top athletes are leaving to go and find pay elsewhere. It's why their champions like Valentina are selling pictures of their titties on OnlyFans. These people are, a lot of them at the ground level, they can't support their families. They're living poverty level fighting full time. This company just got $7.7 billion. There's no reason that they can't afford to pay their athletes at least a living wage.
I'm happy I'm out of that. That's all what I can say.
Thank you. I just wanted.
Okay, Danny, you heard what she had to say there. So the question is as follows. Like, what exactly is going on here? Why is Rousey so aggressively criticizing the UFC when she was once the standard flag bearer for it? Give me your read on this situation.
Yeah, this one's a weird one. I think there are many reasons why she would speak out the way she's been speaking out. I think there is there's many reasons, but it is surprising that she's sort of lashing out in this way. And also, like, she doesn't really have her facts straight, like, as in, like, the UFC used to be great and used to pay fighters a ton of money, and now they're not doing that. No, it's always been the case. Fighter pay has not gone up. It's always been kept the same at more or less the same percentage of revenue. But I think what's happening here is, I'm assuming the Netflix deal is pretty sweet. Like, I'm assuming she's getting paid a good amount of money. And Luke, I'm sure you've heard of this, but over the years, you hear rumblings within the industry, journalists and reporters talking to each other and stuff behind the scenes. And you always heard that Ronda Rousey was one of the worst paid athletes. And I'm not talking about just money wise. Obviously, she made more money than 90% of the entire roster, right? But percentage wise, she was highly underpaid. Like, she was headlining pay-per-views, bringing a shit ton of revenue, and yet she was seeing just a tiny little percentage of that. And I think she sort of realized that. Again, she's well off. She's got, a big property or a big farm or something. I'm sure she's got plenty of money. She's made a lot of money through WWE and other ways, I'm sure. But she's got to realize, look back and kind of see that in a way she got taken advantage of. In a way, she was vastly underpaid. And that still has to kind of be there. And we know that she's a crazy competitor, for better or worse. And I do feel like she's still kind of bitter about that. And at the same time, she has a personal relationship with Dana White, and she used to be broke, and Dana White kind of opened the doors at the perfect time for her to become a superstar and now live this lifestyle. So I think she's very grateful for him. So doesn't want to throw him under the bus, but at the same time recognizes that even though she did gain a lot from being the leader of women's MMA at that time, which was very crucial, she did get screwed over, man.
I think I generally agree with that, but I'm going to add a little something to it. And this is, I want to be clear, this is speculative. So take it for what it is worth, which is probably not much. However, my read on this is that this fight was introduced to, I'm going to guess Hunter Campbell or whoever else was in executive or TKO leadership. And they either told her to piss off because it's a washed fight and they don't want it, or they just lowballed her to an insane degree. And she's literally insulted by it. And this is part of her lashing out. I mean, if they had made her a really competitive offer, I don't know what that would be. I'm just going to imagine 10 million, let's say, and that Netflix came back with 12 or 15. I don't think she'd be talking like this about them. I don't think she'd be making the argument, oh, they don't want to pay to make the big fights. Moreover, she's kind of absolving Dana all the time.
Yeah.
Right. She's constantly putting a distance between Dana and the actions of the UFC, and Dana and what the UFC product is. To me, man, I think she went to that office, tried to get them to buy into the fight as like a thing that they wanted, that could potentially have. And they told her to pound sand. And Netflix probably was like, we're happy to make use of this opportunity. And so let's do it. This is her lashing out against something this late stage that, I think she feels scorned by. The interesting part that I think we need to kind of consider here is that second consideration where she's absolving Dana all the time. Dan, let me ask you a question. Seriously. How much of what Ronda says about what Dana actually feels is what she's repeating because Dana told her that? Like on the White House thing, she's like, oh, I can tell you that he hates the White House card. That sounds to me like they had a conversation about it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And that's a good way of looking at it. I guess I didn't see it that way, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, being the fact that they have a close relationship, that Dana was sort of the person talking to Rousey about this fight. And he maybe kind of washed his hands and was kind of like, hey, look, I'm down for it. They just don't want it. It's different times. I can't do anything about it now. Sorry, wish you all the best, make money elsewhere, go get that money from Netflix, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, it kind of does seem that way.
Let me ask the question then this way. It's one thing for you or I to say, hey, we think UFC pay is low. It's another thing for, let's say, somebody else like Colby Covington to say, hey, UFC pay is low. I don't know exactly where Ronda is in terms of her popularity. It's not at the peak, but it's hard to say exactly where she's at. What do you think it means that she's turning this entire event into a referendum on the UFC? Like, is that going to serve her interests? What's the upshot of that? Do you think it's a good idea as like a marketing tactic to do that? What do you make of not so much the substance of what she is saying, but the decision to lean into that kind of thing to promote this fight?
I think it's going to have very, very positive effects in terms of making the fight bigger. I mentioned how there is probably several reasons why she's doing this. One of them being personal, and I think I agree with you with your assessment, as in they told her to, go elsewhere, and she probably felt offended by that. But there's also a promotional aspect to it. We do know that Ronda left the UFC in really bad terms, or left MMA in really bad terms. Like the fan base really didn't want anything to do with her. She kind of just turned her back on the fans and the entire sport and spoke badly about MMA and its fans. And people, that didn't sit right with people, right? So what's the best way today to kind of clean your image and get on the side of the fans? Is go against the UFC, talk about fighter pay. So in a way, she's cleaning her image, and to use a pro wrestling term, kind of becoming the baby face and not only not the villain. And as you've seen all this week, bro, the headlines have been crazy. I think fighter pay, UFC fighter pay hasn't been talked about this much in a long time. Like, sure, we hear comments here and there, but then you get Ronda plus John Jones plus Francis Ngannou, Eddie Hearn, Oscar De La Hoya. You get all these people, and all of a sudden, like, it's really at the forefront. And all of the articles that you write, because you're supposed to, right? It's Ronda Rousey, blast fighter pay. And she also has an upcoming fight against Gina Carano on Netflix on May 16th. So it's just going to make this a lot bigger, right? If she were to go out there and be super respectful and, say nothing but good things, and there wouldn't be such a brash and impactful comments, it wouldn't promote this fight nearly as much. So I think there's also that aspect. I think it's going to be great for the promotion. And look, MVP has built an entire career off going against Dana White with obviously Nikisa and Jake Paul. So that just feeds onto that narrative.
Yeah, there's no question. Again, it was an interesting week, as you indicated, with just how many forces were coming out of the woodwork to say negative things about UFC fighter pay beyond just, donks like me. It was an extension of that. I think something that folks should wrap their head around here is, it's one thing, I like the way in which I presented it, Danny, was that, I think she was scorned and this is her way of kind of lashing out, but I actually think there's more to it than that too. Namely, Ronda has surmised, and I think correctly, but we shall see, she has surmised that one way to drum up attention for this bout that she has is not merely to promote against Gina. Gina was, by the way, quite quiet during this whole thing. A few folks asked her about Sean Strickland, and she kind of, was like, I'll pray for him, as a response. What I mean is, Ronda sees it as a lucrative way to get attention to blast UFC. That blasting UFC is on these issues is a great way to garner fan sympathy, fan interest, and casual buy-in as well. And I think we should wrap our heads around, like, what does it mean that that's true? What does it mean that you can actually excuse me depending on your situation, this will be true for everybody, but depending on your situation, that you can harvest this kind of material outside of the UFC as a way to, like, legitimately make your event bigger and more interesting to people. I think it kind of says something about the state of MMA that that's even a viable option for her.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I threw a joke about the monopoly, right? Like, this is a little bit of David versus Goliath. Like, this is them kind of making a stand and being like, hey, like, we can put on big fights outside of the UFC, and fighters should get paid more. And again, as you mentioned, that does garner sympathy from the fan base and from the fighters as well. Like, it's, and we'll get into some of the comments from Francis Ngannou, but it's hard not to, listen to that and not to sympathize with some of the things that he says. So yeah, this is a great way to promote this event. And look, it's pretty clear that Ronda is not going back to the UFC, not fighting under the TKO banner. So, burn the ships. This is the way I see it. She's burning the ships and making a big fire out of it.
Let's go to topic number 3, but we'll stay with this presser. So then that leads us now to the Francis Ngannou side of the equation. And his situation is a little bit different. Sure, he made some comments about fighter pay. I'm not really interested in those for today's conversation, although it's kind of related, but different. Let me get to it. Basically, he was asked about legacy. We're going to do the same thing here, Danny. Let's hear from Francis, because what I want to do is hear what Francis had to say on this question of legacy, and then contrast it with the week that John Jones had from a very, I would say, opposite position that Francis finds himself in. But there's trade-offs in either direction. First, let's hear from Francis.
There's a vocal part of the fan base that has been disappointed since you left the UFC. You've ruined your legacy because we haven't seen you fight.
What's give me a definition of legacy?
Your lasting memory in the sport, I guess, maybe what they would
Like
say.
who?
Muhammad Ali?
Like Muhammad Ali. Okay, let me tell you what's the legacy. My legacy right now is my kids back home, is my family back home, getting health care, getting security, being able to put food on the table, being able to put roof on their head. That's a better legacy. You can have the Muhammad Ali legacy or whatever you want. If your kid cannot attend to school, he has no place in the society. If your kid doesn't have food in the stomach, that legacy doesn't help you for anything. You cannot go to the store or in the gas station or at school and pay the scholar fee with a legacy. You have to understand that this is a bullshit that promotion fit fighters should fight with, and they're all out there fighting for legacy. Good for you. Keep the legacy. Give me my pay. What I deserve.
Thank you, Francis.
Okay, bit of a mic drop moment if I do say so myself. But here's why I want to bring this up. He is facing questions of, sure, you have your freedom, but look who you're fighting. You're not adding anything to the way in which history. And I thought the definition that the guy used for legacy was not very helpful. The real answer is how you're remembered based on your achievements in the sport. And your achievements in the sport are a function of who you fought and how you beat them to the extent that you did. But it does contrast with John Jones' situation. Let's put up his statement that he put up this week, Danny, where I'm not going to read the whole thing. I think most folks are pretty familiar with it. He basically asks for his release, and he kind of calls BS on Dana's claims about why he ultimately was ineligible to compete on the White House card. So, Danny, here is the framing I'm asking you to consider. On the one hand, Francis has his freedom, but there's questions about how he'll be remembered because he's not really fighting anyone of significance anymore. By contrast, there are questions about John Jones. Not about who, I mean, at heavyweight, yes, but certainly not his overall record of achievement. Yeah. That is not the case. However, he doesn't have his freedom to go and do some other things. When you see these contrasting realities, how do you understand this moment, either between them or in MMA generally?
Yeah, man, it's decisions, right? Like we see the type of decisions that both these guys have made. One by not re-signing a contract with the UFC and kind of, eating dirt for a little bit until, getting his freedom. And then the other guy that continued to re-sign better deals and making more money and building on his legacy, but he doesn't have that freedom, which I think it's very valuable. I've always said this about, careers, like what makes a successful career in MMA, right? And I think there's three components. If you're able to leave, and in this order, with health, money, and legacy, you've had a successful career. Now, if you can leave with 2 out of the 3, you've had a successful career, right? Certainly Ngannou is leaving with health. He looks all there, right? He looks good. Obviously, I'm sure there's little injuries here and there that he's picked up from fighting, but overall he seems good, and he's got money. Whereas Jones, he doesn't really have maybe the money that Ngannou has made, but he does have the legacy, right? And I said it in that order. So I think legacy is important, but it is the last of those 3. Health being the first one, money being the second one. And we see it right now, like who looks happier in their lives. And obviously there's different components, but just looking at what's being put out there in social media in regards to the fight game, who looks happier with their life decisions, Francis Ngannou or John Jones? I'd like to say Francis Ngannou. And they both have amount of money. I'm probably, I would say that Ngannou has more given the 2 boxing bouts, but they both have enough money where money's not an issue for them, right? And at that point, do you put a price on happiness, right? Like, would you rather have a few million more or be regarded as the greatest of all time over happiness? I certainly wouldn't. I would take being, perceived less highly among the public and have a little bit less money, but have freedom, be happy. That's just me personally. And I think a lot of people would agree here. So, it's life decisions. Again, both guys have had successful careers, but in terms of the 3 things that I mentioned, I do think that Francis Ngannou has had the overall better career in terms of satisfaction and the way he feels about himself and his career and his industry.
I do think it's important to acknowledge that no matter what situation you find yourself in, whether John's or Francis's, there's trade-offs in either direction. I'm not saying the trade-offs are equivalent, but that they do exist. I mean, so for example, on the legacy argument, people being like, oh, legacy doesn't matter, only the money. And don't get me wrong, I definitely agree that the money is more important than the legacy. But, you get a case like Jake Paul where it's like he's got all the money in the world and he'll have no legacy whatsoever in terms of like accomplishment in the sport. It just won't exist. Now, again, you might say, well, he doesn't care and neither do his fans and neither do the people that watch. Fair enough. But there is a trade he's making. It's not like he's getting both. He has to give up one to get the other in order to do what he is doing. And there's something to be said for that, especially for people who are actually quite good at the sport. So I think that there is something to acknowledge there. But the reality is, dude, like I thought you nailed it, which is like, look who appears to be happier with their situation. Just use that. Like, don't listen to me. Don't listen to Danny. Don't listen to anybody on the show. Don't listen to anybody else except those two guys. What message do you get from both of them? And it just looks to me like one guy is very comfortable with the choices that he made, and another guy is living with an enormous amount of regret. To that end, Danny, John Jones signed an 8-fight deal. 8-fight deal in January of 2023. What a gigantic mistake that was. What a huge, huge error. I realized in January of 2023, it was maybe not as clear. I mean, although even then I would challenge this, but maybe at that point it wasn't exactly clear what kind of opportunities would be available to like very senior fighters at the end of their run, like these fun ass fights or these Netflix things. It's very difficult to like foresee any of that materializing. But just the ability to have the freedom means should that they materialize, you'll be prepared to take advantage of them. And now he's got 6 fights remaining on his freaking deal. The only ones he used were the Gon fight and then the Miocic fight, and that's it. Dude, he'll die of old age before he gets out of that contract. You know what I mean? Like, like the pain of that has to be substantial. But I just want to say, one of the most important things you can do in your life is not let others have control of your labor. And I realize that all of us have done that on some level. I've done that. I still do that. You have to make some kinds of trades, but you want to have the situations where you have to give your labor to others. You want to have those on as much an equitable set of terms as possible, because choice and freedom, I think, over time, Danny, not always, not in every case, not in every instance, but over the course of time, there's simply no substitute for that. There really isn't much of a price for that, especially within an organization, as you mentioned with Rousey. He's like, oh, well, they used to pay a bunch. No, they didn't. She fought twice in 2014. She made $1.9 million. It's really not that much. I'm just pointing out, you can't really put a price on freedom. It's both the other options that you have to go do things, as well as the security that comes with having choices at all. And I just feel like people really, really tend to overlook giving their labor to others for, inequitable terms.
Yeah, I think I couldn't have said it better. I think you nailed it. Peace, man. Peace is so valuable, right? And you look at John Jones' Twitter and the way he's putting things out there and deleting them and constantly, fighting UFC brass and Dana White and defending himself against certain comments. That to me looks like a disturbed man. That to me looks like a troubled man, someone that's not at peace. And sure, he has his legacy, but look who's smiling and doing whatever the fuck he wants on the other side, Francis Ngannou. So again, there was a trade-off there. But something I've learned in life, man, is like being bitter over things or having resentment, that'll kill you, man. And you can have all the money in the world, you can have, the best situation, but if you linger with that, it's just not good, man. It's just not good for your soul, for your mental health, for everything. And at the end of the day, that's all you have, right? So yeah, again, Francis Ngannou looks at peace, John Jones doesn't. And fans will make an argument, but the legacy, I don't know. I rather be in Francis Ngannou's shoes than John Jones at this moment.
Yeah, I largely agree. Plus, the other part too is, I don't know who Francis is going to fight after Felipe Lins. There's a lot of different ways that could go. But if you have a good relationship with Netflix, my understanding is you're going to get paid no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, well, it's this one opportunity and then it's back to the doldrums for him. I don't think that's quite right. We'll see.
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to put this out here, and again, I don't have any proof for this. It's just a theory, and this is not to me pernicious in as much as it is just competition. But I have a feeling, because they were saying that they were trying to get that Rico Verhoeven fight with Francis.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that the reason Usyk is fighting Verhoeven is because Turkey didn't want to give it to Jake. I have a feeling. About that because behind the scenes, there are actually much more cutthroat competitors against one another than I think folks realize. Listen, who got paid in the end? Rico got paid. I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean? And I think Francis would have beaten Rico, and I think Usyk was going to beat Rico. So it's not like it's like the end of the world either way, but I just feel like that's how that fight materialized.
I didn't think about that. That's a great point. Also, who would you rather take a punch from? 12-ounce gloves from Usyk or 4-ounce gloves from Ngannou?
For like probably 3-4 times the purse. Yeah. I'll take the Usyk one. I mean, you're going to lose, but at least you lose with some dignity.
Yeah.
All right. We got the weigh-in results below for UFC Fight Night Emmett versus Vallejos, which is perfect because let's get into it now. UFC Fight Night, Josh Emmett, topic number 4, is taking on Kevin Vallejos. Look at this stat that we have about this fight, if we can here, Long Island, in terms of the age difference. Put this up here. This is the largest age gap for a UFC main event ever. Josh Emmett, 41 years of age, still a threat. We'll get to that in a moment, against the Argentine at just 24 years of age. This is crazy, Danny. So let's get to it.
Can I call fake news, though?
Why?
On Paramount? Wasn't the largest age gap, didn't we just see it? Raul Rosas versus Rob Font?
Main event.
This is main event.
Oh, main event. Okay. I take
main
that
event.
back. Sorry.
It's a good question. What would be the largest age gap of any UFC fight ever? I'm not sure the answer to that one. Yeah. It's like, who did Couture fight? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one. But in any case, I want to talk about the overall card in just a second, but I want to get to this main event right away. So the UFC has obviously kind of set this up, young versus old, old school, new school. We kind of get that. But let me just ask you, how real do you think the momentum, the belief, like what's happening behind Kevin Vallejos really is? Is the UFC right, you think, to start pushing this guy up the queue at just 24 years of age?
Yes, but there's
you're hedging. You're hedging.
Also a no there. There's also a no there, and I say this with respect towards Vallejos, but and this is actually something that Vallejos agrees with, and actually told me this week. Vallejos didn't really want this. Vallejos is happy with the fight, is happy that he's getting this opportunity, but he told me he actually wants a slower rise to the top. Like things are happening way too fast. And one of the reasons that he said, he's like, I just don't want to be somebody that, goes to the top, wins a belt, and then loses it in his next fight. I want to be like Volkanovski. I want to get to the title already with experience, win the title, and hold on to it. And we know that Volkanovski won the UFC featherweight belt at 30 years of age. That's 6 years away for Kevin Vallejos, who is just a few days, I believe, on completing his first year in the UFC, and he's already fought a ranked fighter and in a co-main event, and he's on the verge of fighting another ranked fighter and in a main event. I think that he, unlike most 24-year-olds, and I told him this in our interview, I'm like, it's crazy that you're telling me this, because most fighters that I interview in the early 20s, they're calling out ranked fighters. They can't wait to get their main events. They want the champion right now, and they're kind of overbiting here, and you're the complete opposite. You want less. You want less activity, and you want to. And remember, he called out Cub Swanson for this opportunity for his next fight, not Josh Emmett, and it's obviously Cub Swanson being a lesser level opponent at this point in time, at least compared to Josh Emmett. So I don't take that as an I'm scared, I'm not capable from Kevin Vallejos, but I do take that as he's a very smart guy. He's aware that there's things that he doesn't know. And he's aware that once he beats a guy like Josh Emmett, there's no going back, right? Once you beat someone of that magnitude, you're fighting top 10s. And once you fight top 10s, you're staying fighting top 10s. And I think that he feels he's capable of doing that. He's obviously very, very skilled. I have him to win the fight. He's obviously a big favorite going into this contest. But I think he's aware that there's so much more for him to learn. He hasn't been fighting for that much. I think he's had like something like 18 fights in like 4 years or something like that. He's been professional for like 4 years. And I don't know. That's kind of refreshing. And I do hope that the UFC pumps the brakes a little bit on him, because I do think he's got a ton of potential.
Why do you think they're pushing him this quickly?
They need stars. They need stars bad.
Do they need Latin American stars?
They just need stars, period. Okay. But I think the fact that they built the PI in Mexico City, there's been talks. I don't know about now anymore, but a year or two ago, there's been talks of building a PI in Guadalajara as well. We know that there's plans of them going to Guadalajara in September for Noche UFC. We don't know now with the whole cartel situation, also the World Cup. I actually heard that Noche UFC might take place in the States this year in Phoenix. But yeah, they have big interest in the region and generating that. And Cain Vallejos is talented, and he's exciting. He's a knockout artist. He's everything the UFC wants. He's young. He's professional. He shows up, fights, always on weight. So yeah, they just need starts, period. And this is a guy that clearly paints that. And sometimes they can push guys a little bit too fast. So I'd like to see them pump the brakes a little bit on Cain Vallejos.
Danny, where would you, let me just pick your brain here for a minute, since you're going to know this much better than anyone on the show will. Who are the hot rising, who are Hispanic fans most excited about in terms of Latin American talent? Michael Morales, I'm guessing. Some of the top Mexican guys like Yair, I'm going to guess, is somewhere in there as well. Not so much
anymore.
Okay,
as far as rising talents?
Yeah, rising talents. Like who like the guys coming up. Who are the Latin American fans like buzzing about?
Yeah. Morales, I would say, is number one.
Okay.
Vallejos is one of them. Echer Sosa, who fights on this card, he's the fighter that fought on Dana White Contender Series, whose dad passed away prior to weigh-ins. Spain loves that guy. I would say that after Ilia Topuria, even though there's some guys that already have UFC fights, Echer Sosa is probably the more popular one right now.
Really?
Yeah, people love that guy. Who else? Regina Tarin, and obviously probably for different reasons, although I do think she's a great fighter. She does crazy numbers as well. People are super hyped on her. I'm kind of blanking on others right now, but there's a few more.
But Kevin's probably on the short list, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he was MMA Junkie's newcomer of the year, and I'm not talking about international newcomer of the year or Hispanic newcomer of the year. No, newcomer of the year, period, for 2025. And I know he took that trophy for other sites as well. I mean, this guy's got a ton of hype, dude.
So what about Josh Emmett? Let me read you his last 5 fights. He's got 1 win in that. He lost to Youssef Zalal. He lost to Lerone Murphy. He lost to Ilia Topuria, and he lost to Yair Rodriguez. He does have a win over Bryce Mitchell, who he vaporized in a nuclear attack with one of the most devastating one-punch knockouts maybe in all of UFC history. But you look at the names he's losing to: Zalal, Murphy, Topuria, Rodriguez. These are people who either held titles or right near titles or are going to fight for titles. Like, they're not scrubs. So at 41 years of age, where's Josh Emmett?
I feel bad for Josh Emmett because he's been calling out legends for a while. Like, he didn't want to fight Youssef Zalal. Again, it's not that he's scared, but he wanted the Pitbull fight. He wanted, other guys that are up there in age that have a little bit of legacy to kind of close out his career and be able to say, hey, I fought this guy, I fought the other guy. But the UFC is just feeding him straight killers, young killers. And props to Josh Emmett for ultimately taking those fights. But, who knows how much also options he has, right? But Josh Emmett, at this point in time, he's a fighter that you can count on that's going to be in shape. Despite being 41, the dude's still an absolute unit. He's strong as hell. He still has power. He has good striking, like decent striking, decent wrestling. I would say skill level-wise, and I don't want to sound insulting, but he's a solid C+ fighter, where if you're not on your A game, dude, he can give you a competitive fight and even beat you and even knock you out. But at this point in time, is he elite? No, I don't think so. And I just think he's a very tough test to prospects like Vallejos.
To that end, we have some video from our friend of the show, Brian Campbell. He thinks he's going to finish Vallejos in the 3rd or the 4th. Let's watch what he has to say, then we'll react.
This will be his first 5-round bout. You've gone the 5-round distance 3 times in the last 4 years alone. We've seen in the past, even on the title level, Josh, making that change, going from 3 to 5 rounds. Sometimes people need a lesson to learn how to do that effectively. How big of a jump is that for a fighter, considering 24 years old like Vallejos stepping up against you?
Yeah, it's a big factor. He's he's tough. He's like you said, I think he's been to a few 3-round fights, but you could see him start to slow down. He's young, confidence, which makes it'll definitely help. But I'm going to press the pace like he's never seen before. I'm going to take him into deep waters, and I'm going to put him away in the 3rd or 4th.
What do you think?
I mean, with Josh Emmett, the chance of getting knocked out is always there because the dude's got brutal power, and he's not afraid to swing, right? Like, he's 41, but he's definitely not shot. Like, the dude's, striking, and he's going for it, right? So I think he does have a chance, but keep in mind, like, Cain Vallejo's neck is like the size of a tree trunk. He went the distance with John Silva, who, hits extremely hard. And not only is he durable from a physical standpoint, but go watch some of his fights, specifically the Danny Silva one. At some point, he realized he couldn't knock out Danny Silva, and he just decided to, okay, I'm just going to win round by round and win by points. And he managed to fight quite well and was very good defensively. And I would argue at this point that Danny Silva is a little bit of a more sophisticated striker than Emmett, where he can set traps and really get you to commit a mistake and make you pay for it. I don't think Josh Emmett is that guy. I think he's going to swing hard, but it's going to be very basic striking in a good way, and Vallejos should be prepared for that. So, again, the chance always remains, but I really, really don't see him finishing Vallejos.
The one area that gives me concern for Kevin is not so much takedown defense at 83%. He's got pretty good takedown defense, even though, Emmett's a respectable wrestler, but I just don't think that's the way this fight's going to go. The one that's interesting to me, Danny, is strikes absorbed per minute. So, for example, if you look at Josh Emmett's numbers, he lands 3.72 per minute and then absorbs 4.43. So he has a negative differential, which is not great. If you look at Kevin, he lands 5.78 per minute and then has a 4.71 absorb. So he has a positive differential, which is great. However, just objectively speaking, in terms of the math, 4.71, or even in Josh's case, 4.43, which is a little bit lower, doesn't matter. Those are both above average for getting hit. They both tend to get touched up a little bit more than they're supposed to. And we understand that, right? At least in Kevin's case, he likes to work behind the jab, and he likes to work in the pocket, and he likes to throw, big punches from there. And so you're going to put yourself in the line of fire. I think the UFC, one reason why they may have booked this fight, Danny, is that for all the reasons you've already articulated, but then on top of it, it's actually something of an interesting test case to see how Kevin can solve this problem. You got a guy who you should be able to beat. You're definitely more well-rounded than. You're certainly younger than. Maybe you don't have quite as much power, but you can also throw down some thunder too. But you put yourself in the line of fire a lot against a guy who's got nuclear power. How do you manage to get around that? I think that's kind of an interesting question. Like, what other weapons might he use in this fight to not like replace what he normally does, but to maybe complement it to give him an easier path to then use his sort of A skill set rather than something else. I think, to me, there's a little bit of an interesting riddle that he has to solve based on some of the areas of need related to his defense in the pocket. Just my personal opinion on this.
No, I 100% agree with you. And to add to that, I would also say there's a different aspect of it, which is, fighting Giga Chikadze, who at this point in his career, he's a bit, frail and knockout prone, or prone to getting hurt, because I believe Vallejos was the first to knock him out ever. But dude, Josh Emmett, say what you want about him, 41 years of age, but the dude's durable as hell. I mean, he went to distance with Ilia Topuria. That's insane, right? So Vallejos, I don't know if he's going to be able to knock him out. So it's like, how there's also the defensive aspect, as you mentioned, but also how do you manage your cardio? How do you manage your offensive output, where it's not only to knock out, but to win on points, right? So I think there's an aspect to that. And I think all around, this is a very interesting test for Vallejos, as you mentioned.
Now, let's look up the main card graphic if we can, Long Island. As I indicated, this card overall, I'll tell you what, for a card in the Apex, I'm not going to say they don't come better, but this is not a bad Apex card such that they exist. For me, the main event has got a ton of value. We're going to talk about the co-main event in the second. I just don't see any way that Andre Fili versus Jose Delgado is anything other than exciting. And there's some other pieces up and down this card. Let's talk about that co-main event if we can. Put up this graphic that we have here for Jillian. Most finishes in women's UFC history with 10. She's tied with Amanda Nunes. And there's another component to this, namely 7 submission wins, which is most by a female fighter. And she has 45.3% of top position time, which to me is not the most interesting, but it kind of gives a sense of some domination. There's another stat on this one we don't have a graphic for. We don't really need it, Danny. But it goes like this. Jillian Robertson, 30 years old. 30 years old. She has quietly put together one of the sneakiest contender runs in any UFC division. And I got to tell you, Danny, she said if she wins this contest against Amanda Lemos, she should get a shot at Mackenzie Dern. I kind of agree with her. Do you?
Yeah, 100%. And I love that Jillian Robertson is getting some shine here because, you know, I got to tell you, man, I fucking love Jillian Robertson. I think overall women's MMA has kind of gone downhill over the last few years. But Jillian Robertson is one of those fighters. When she's on the card, I'm gonna tune into that fight because it's gonna be a good one. Jillian Robertson is awesome. I think she's very skilled. I think she's been very underrated for a long time. I'm glad that she's getting a former title challenger. I'm glad that she's getting a co-main event slot, and it's about damn time because I've been watching her fight for a while, and I'm like, dude, this chick is special. This girl's special, and she has championship potential, and I do believe she's going to be champion at some point. I'm all on board on the Jillian Robertson train. I think you're muted, or I just lost sound.
No, it's mine. I was muting my microphone because I was taking a sip of the drink. What do you think her chances are to get a sub in this fight?
It's a tough one.
Lemos has been subbed.
She does have a lot of subs. And something I love about Jillian, and again, I know I'm glazing Jillian a ton here, but dude, when she fights, it looks intentional, right? Like, and I don't know if you
that's a great call
agree with me, but like something I hate about women's MMA is that there's so much wasted movement. Like there's so much busy work. There's so much just busy movements that don't really lead to anything, that don't really serve a purpose. There's a few fighters, and I think Macy Barber is also one of them, which I'm also a fan of hers. In terms of her fighting style, it's intentional. Like everything that she does is intentional. Everything that she does serves a purpose. Everything that she does, it's like, oh snap, what is she setting up? Oh, where is she going with this? Because it means something. It's consequential, and that's one of the reasons why I think she stands out and she stood out for me for a long time. So with that being said, I do think that she's not interested in going to a decision. I do think the entire fight she's either going to try to get a sub or try to get a TKO win through grappling, obviously through a takedown in dominant positions. And Amanda Lemos, I don't know if you saw her media day interviews. She looked lifeless. She looked like that weight cut is absolutely killing her. She looked with no energy. She was barely talking. I mean, the translator had more energy than her, but I mean, Fabiano does have pretty high energy. So, but yeah, man, again, I'm not watching the weigh-ins right now. Maybe Long Island Luke can weigh in on that. I don't know if she's weighed in yet. I don't know how she's looked, if she has already. But I do wonder what her cardio is. And at some point, again, Jillian Robertson's going to be nonstop. Third round submission. I think it's possible. I think it's in the cards.
She did weigh in as Danny. I wouldn't say she looked lifeless, but she definitely cut weight to get there. And she weighed in at 116, so obviously,
all right, she made it. She made it. You know, she's a pro. She last fought in September of 2025. Danny, she lost to Tatiana Suarez. Before that, she beat Yasmin Lucindo. Then before that, she lost to Virna Jandiroba. And then before that, she beat Mackenzie Dern. Now we're back in February of 2024.
Did Dern or Jandiroba sub her?
No, Dern lost to her.
Lost to her. That's right.
Jandiroba subbed her in the subsequent fight, on the second round armbar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When that's
so I mean,
Julie
she's up,
Robertson's
she's down.
specialty, man. Arm bars.
Yeah. Yeah. She's up, she's down. You know what I mean? Like she
Yeah.
can beat good fighters, she can lose to good fighters. It's kind of an interesting one. But I do love this particular contest. Also on the card, I'll ask you, do you have great interest in Iwan Kutelaba taking on Umar C? Umar C, something of a sizable favorite, according to our friends at DraftKings, at minus 258, Kutelaba plus 210.
Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Long
going to be a
Island?
crazy fight, but, it's not very consequential.
No, this isn't a good fight. Let's talk about that Steven Asplin fight, man. Everyone's high on him but you, Luke. I mean,
okay. Oh, let's talk about Steven Asplin. By the way, he is not out of this fight as a dog. He is plus 185. Vitor Petrino at minus 225. Vitor Petrino shit the bed completely against Anthony Smith. So it's not like I think this fight is unwinnable for Steven Asplin. Listen, I don't want to be a dick in any way at all. If he's here, it's not because he's bad at fighting. Okay. He's got some ability, and I want to be clear about that. Also, the fact that he rescued himself, quite literally, like rescued himself from the weight gain that was almost certainly going to prematurely, one way or the other, prematurely end his life, is the most commendable thing. It's not just giving himself more life. He's going to be there for his family. Look at what he's doing now. Like, the guy's thriving. I recognize that, Danny. I see that. I recognize that. And I respect that tremendously. But what I'm trying to explain to people is, dog, this is not some situation where we're proud about someone's life journey and that's the only thing. This is high, or at least ostensibly, high-level competition prize fighting. And if you've got guys who look like that, you don't have the elite crop of guys that you would need to make this a more dynamic division. You just don't. Like, it's just a reality. Guys like this have incredible stories that are worthy of respect. But if you've got them in your division, I'm going to also say that in general, with some exception here or there, in general, something has gone kind of wrong with your ability to recruit, more elite athletes. And I don't think that's unfair, and I don't think that's being mean.
Nope, I think that's fair. Look, that's one of the points that Ronda Rousey made at the presser, and I think it went unnoticed. Obviously, a lot was focused on Dana White and pay, but she also said that the UFC, because they don't pay all that well, it doesn't attract top athletes, right? If you are, 6'5", 250 pounds, like, are you, at least from a financial perspective, like, does it make sense for you to become a UFC heavyweight? Or do you want to go into football, or do you want to go into basketball or other sports where your physicality is worth a lot more? So, yeah, I mean, again, not to be all anti-UFC and this and that, because I know fans get tired of it, but that's what happens when you're in a monopoly, man. You don't get the best product out there.
Prior to the show, Long Island Luke, who is heterosexual, was like, I would like to have sex with this man. And I was like, I think that's a little strong.
I was like, I'll suck
But in
your
a
toes,
non-gay
Dana.
way.
Remember, he's the guy who said he would suck Dana's
Oh, that's
toes.
right.
People
He
don't
did
let
say
him.
that.
Like,
He
people
did
just
say that.
moved right past that. I'm still like cringed out by that. But dude, he did have a great media day. We got to just play the clip.
All right, let's see it.
Bro, he's a monster. Why is he fighting? He could be a model. What the fuck? This guy looks like The Rock. You know what I mean? And so it's like the battle of the worst physique and the best physique in the heavyweight division. So I'm excited to show the fat boys love this Saturday. There's a little bit of bad blood on this one too. So as soon as I heard the name Vitor, I was like, fuck yeah, give me that. So I'm excited.
Why is there bad blood?
Not really bad blood, but there's history. He beat my brother in October, and I feel like Tommy was winning that fight, and I felt like watching Vitor get chinned in that fight, I'd definitely be able to chin this motherfucker. So I'm excited to go out there and do what I do.
The brother he's referring to was Thomas Peterson, who Vitor, faceplant KO'd earlier this year. So he's trying to get it back. It's his training partner, I guess. He's trying to get it back. But look at this man's weight transformation. I mean, Luke, he was 500 pounds.
Bro,
he
I'm
just
saying
weighed
it's
in.
nothing but respect for this part of the story. Nothing but respect. That is crazy to do. And takes an enormous amount of discipline and belief and faith in your journey. And it's just, I'd rather have the guys who are chiseled out of stone from age 6 on up. You know what I mean? Like that crop of athlete. Dude, Danny, have you ever stood next to an NFL player before?
I have, yeah.
Dog, I stood next to a guy who he played a few seasons for the NFL and now is trying to make his way. He fights at Killcliff. And I called one of his XFC fights. Dude, when you stand next to an athlete like that, it's insane the difference. Like they're barely the same species as you and me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like I just can't. I'm not saying that all guys who are great athletes are good fighters, because that's also not true. But what I'm saying is, in general, those kinds of athletic gifts are going to be better to confer advantages in fighting. And, I just don't think we should lose sight of that. That's all.
Yeah. When I did get the sense of that, when I was covering the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, obviously, like you look at him on camera and like, the dude's like a specimen, right? He's massive. But standing next to him, you're like, holy shit, like, yeah, this is a different species. And I told another reporter, I'm like, dude, if aliens were to like, pull up to Earth, I mean, they probably have already, but kind of just, abduct somebody to like study like the ideal specimen, is probably Anthony Joshua. Like the dude's just massive and he just like shredded, but also like 250 pounds, just an absolute unit. Steven is not that, but hey, look, he owns up to it. Mad respect to him, and he fights, man. He bangs, bro. He
does.
So.
He's got a fan. I get why the fans like him. His story is likable. Yeah. His style is likable. I'm not trying to hate on him in that way at all. I get it.
Hey, I think he can pull the upset here.
Oh, you do? Oh, you know what? I don't believe in Vitor Petrino. Dude, he's aggressive enough. Steven Asplund is aggressive enough, and Vitor Petrino is just kind of average enough where absolutely he can win this one. I would not be surprised if he won. I totally agree on that level. All right, very quickly on the rest of this card. Andre Fili, as I mentioned, against Jose Delgado. It's going to be a lot of fun. Does the fight mean anything else, Danny? Are we just keeping these guys busy and that we should just be okay with that?
I think just keeping them busy. I think certainly with Andre Fili, like we know what we're going to get and his career is what it is at this point and he's just in for some fun fights. But Jose Delgado, he is 27, trains out of the MMA lab. Just crazy amount of power. I want to see how he bounces back from his first loss, obviously in his last outing, losing to Nathaniel Wood. I do think that he's something special. So yeah, this is a banger of a fight, but I think it's a little bit more than that on the Jose Delgado side. I do think this guy can go on to do something special. He has the youth and he has the skill so far that promise that.
Okay, here's the big question for me. I don't even know if it was on the graphic. Put the graphic up one more time. Yeah, it's not even on here, Danny. This is the main card. Okay, guys, the best fight on this card might just be Chris Curtis taking on Miktabek Oralbai. Yeah. Like, this fight, I don't know who's going to win this fight, but it's going to be fucking insane for as long as it lasts. I know that for a fact. What is your theory about why this is on the prelims of all places?
Who the fuck knows, man? The UFC does such weird decisions. This is an awesome fight. I'm a huge fan of Oralbai. Few fighters, and just how I was mentioning how Jillian Robertson fights with intention, which is something not often seen, or not seen as much in women's MMA. Oralbai, he transmit like this feeling of like rawness. It's when he fights, it doesn't feel like it's a competition. It doesn't feel like it's a sport. It feels like survival. Like he's out there fighting, like he literally thinks he's gonna die and he's fighting for survival. Dude, this guy's awesome. Yeah, I don't know why this fight should be right below the co-main event. With all due respect to Fili and Delgado,
I freaking love this fight. Long Island, you're all over this one. What is your read about how this one goes?
I have two bets on this fight. One, I think, was an Oralbai decision.
Okay.
Because I feel like Chris Curtis, yeah, he's been finished before, but I feel like he's tough to finish. He did eat that like Kopylov head kick with like 2 seconds left in that fight and got finished. But otherwise, we've seen him go 5 rounds and shit. I feel like this one goes long. I'm high on Oralbai too, and I think this is going to be a solid win. I also like a Chris Curtis spread bet. If you can get him plus 7.5, so just one judge has to give him 1 round. He's like notoriously goes to split decisions. I mean, you don't need it to be a split decision. You can get 30-27, 30-27, 29-28 unanimous, and you could still cover. But I don't know. I think that one definitely goes long, though. As fun as it probably will be. Definitely fight of the night.
That fight to me, Danny, is fun, but I've actually had this conversation with Chris Curtis. I've actually talked with him about this specifically, which is like the body punching. I love Chris Curtis's body punching style. But against a guy like Oralbai, or even for the judges in MMA generally, it's a tough sell, dude, because he's just probably going to eat it unless you really hammer him, which is possible. But, you know, in all likelihood, he's going to eat it. The markings don't show up like they do if you just tag someone on the face or, like, you know, around the brow or something like that. And this is why I think he often ends up in these split decisions. You'll see him like outpoint a guy kind of on the feet and then lose a decision because they're headhunting and he's body snatching. But it should make for a fun fight. I do think that.
Dude, Orobai, I think he's going to get the finish, man. Keep in mind this is at the Apex, so this is the smaller octagon. He's going to walk forward and just land crazy shit until something connects and puts out Chris Curtis. One thing I do want to say, Long Island Luke, proper degenerate. You know you're a proper degenerate when you're betting spreads on just banking on one fighter, not even winning the fight, just winning one round of the fight.
Hey, man, I love those bets, by the way. DraftKings, I think, is the only book I know that offers those bets. So shout out to DraftKings. But I feel like it's a lot of times like, ooh, I could see this guy winning, but I actually don't think he wins. But you're like, throw in the spread bet, fuck it. And then when they get the upset win, you're still happy because you still cover the spread. You know?
All right. Anything else on that card of note to you, Danny?
Charles Johnson versus Bruno Silva. I think that's a proper flyweight bout. Charles Johnson has the opportunity to do something big here. Keep in mind, he knocked out Lonnie Kavanaugh. He knocked out Joshua Van. If he loses here, man, his stock drops a lot. But if he wins and gets a crazy knockout, I think he's kind of back in the mix. So that's a fight I have my eye on. And
Bia Mesquita against Montse Rendon. Seems like a fun one. Bia Mesquita, obviously one of the better women's jiu-jitsu athletes of our generation. Also, as you indicated, Etcher Sosa, that's the guy you 14-1 out of Spain. That's the guy you said everyone is high on?
Yep.
Against Luan Lacerda.
I want to oh, sorry, Danny.
Go ahead. No.
I was saying to Danny pre-show that this Marwan Rahiki versus Harry Hardwick fight, it's on the main card. Marwan, he's born in Morocco, but he trains out of Australia. So naturally you'd think, oh, Luke, you're obviously backing this guy, right? LT, he got dropped twice and outstruck in his Contender Series fight. Harry Hardwick looked like shit in his UFC debut. He got finished with fucking leg kicks. But at the same time, took it on 5 days' notice, took it up a weight class. Are we not thinking there's some value on Harry Hardwick here? I'm riding with him as a dog. I'm hoping he doesn't.
I gotta say, he did look real bad in his UFC.
I know, and me and Danny were saying maybe it's the type of bad that can't be fixed in this amount of time. But I'm just hoping it was like bad stylistic. Hopefully he's buttoned up that part of his game, and I'm thinking Rahiki can get caught. That's what I'm hoping for. So. Not hard.
All right.
He's awesome.
Tons of value on this card, if I do say so myself. All right. And that takes us. Oh, by the way, before we get to topic number 5, let me say this. From Face Off, talking about our friends over at Cuervo, to Final Decision, Fight Night delivers the adrenaline, and Cuervo has the energy to match it. Whether you're hosting your crew at home or catching the action at a bar, Cuervo brings the good vibes that turn every round into a celebration. From margaritas to palomas, every main event simply tastes better with the world's most iconic tequila. No matter who walks out with the belt with Cuervo in hand, you're already celebrating like an undisputed champion. For every round, keep it fun, keep it Cuervo. And one more time, we'll be back in studio the week of April 11th for the next pregame preview. We'll be enjoying some Cuervo responsibly while we're there as well. Big thanks to our friends at Cuervo. All right, topic number 5. Let's get to it right now. Just a series of kind of news items in the MMA world, Danny, that I'd like to touch on. So first things first, UFC 326 turning in some pretty good numbers for CBS. I think we have the graphic for that. If you see, I can't quite read all of it, but there was basically an increased viewership versus the UFC's particular average on linear television previously, as well as up 30% versus CBS's season-to-date viewership in the same slot. Now, I looked up some of those slots where they have the increased viewership and like what games, for example, were going on during that time, like the different, for example, college basketball games or whatever. And they were some real nubber games between like teams you wouldn't possibly care about. So I don't know. None of these things are ever apples to apples, but certainly not bad numbers. Certainly not turning in things where the ratings were dropping off or people didn't care. It showed some pretty good numbers. And I got to say, they did it. The last 2 fights on that segment were really great. The RoboCop and the Michael Johnson Drew Dober fight. The first 2 were some of the worst I'd ever seen. So I got to say, all things being what they are, UFC's got to be pretty happy with these numbers.
100%. Yeah. Solid numbers. And I got to tell you, I think it's brilliant that they're not you would think like the normal thing to do would be to put the top fights right on television, but I think it's absolutely brilliant that they're actually putting just a portion of the middle card and then getting people back to Paramount Plus to check out the rest. Great strategy. Something I didn't think about.
So we'll see how that goes in the future. And by the way, they're going to do this again for UFC 327. I don't think we have the graphic, but if I looked up on, let me pull that up real quickly because I actually feel like this is important. I saw what was going to be on there for that one, and I was like, oh, this is going to be even better. So for those ones, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Johnny Walker, Dominic Reyes, right?
Johnny Walker, Dominic Reyes is going to be your opener. Then Pitbull, Aaron Pico. Then Kevin Holland, Randy Brown. And then Curtis Blades versus Josh Hokett. Oh, no, sorry. I'm wrong. Dominic Reyes, Johnny Walker. Wait, no, that's right. No, I'm wrong. Here we go. Azamat Murzakanov, Paulo Costa, which I think Costa might get slept in that one. We'll see. Yep. Dominic Reyes, Johnny Walker. I mean, that's just going to be donkery until there isn't.
Oh, yeah.
Pitbull versus Aaron Pico, PFL and Bellator's finest. And then Kevin Holland, Randy Brown. I think that's how that's going to go. I got to tell you, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good run up there.
Yeah, it's. I mean, nothing's guaranteed in life, but should be a good portion of MMA right there.
All right. We had talked about this on Mondays, MK. Danny, you were not here, obviously, but we were asking, like, what the hell does RDR do now that he had lost to Kyle Bahalio? Well, we got our answer. He's going to go to 205 pounds. Here's what he said. And in a post, he kind of announced he was moving to light heavyweight on Instagram. He says, quote, I came up a little short. I think it could have gone either way, but I'm happy that I got my body back. Most importantly, I was able to go 3 hard rounds. I think I have a lot more to show. I brought you guys donuts. He's talking to his teammates because I need you guys heavy. I need you guys strong because I'm coming at 205 pounds, baby. Danny, simple question. Is moving to 205 the right call for Ranier de Ridder?
100%. I mean, that was the only call left after the loss to Kyle Bahalio. Like, where is he going to go? And he had all this hype, right? But like, can you really get back on track to win the belt at 185? I don't think so. And look, beating Khamzat Chimaev, beating Strickland, beating Imavov, like those are tough fights, man. At 205, that division is not nearly as skilled or nearly as difficult. So I think from a skills perspective, he'll have an easier time dealing with some of the fighters there. And also, I don't know about you, Luke, but like he looked frail, man. He looked frail in his time at 185, right? Like he just didn't command power. It was always like, I don't know. So I feel like if he can move to 205 and put on some muscle and get a little sturdier, I think that's going to help his game a lot.
And also, like, bro, in terms of submission ability, who's better at him 205? Nobody. No, just on pure sub terms,
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that is a big opportunity for him. And does he win the belt there? I don't know. But just the stop doing damage to your body with these weight cuts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just even if your record ends up being the same at middleweight as light heavyweight, your body's going to feel it less,
I think he's going to have more success. It's easier fights, dude. 205
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right. How about this one? This event in Brazil on, what was it, a couple of nights ago at this point, had Jayon Silva versus Bryce Mitchell in the main event. They had a bit of a draw, which was kind of a weird thing. However, Arman Tsarukyan ended up choking out former UFC flyweight Muhammad Mokaev, who, by the way, has also been kind of doing side quests here and there and having his own little renaissance outside of the UFC. Here you can see the ending of it. He straight up puts Mokaev to sleep. There he goes. He's all done. This event was so weird. 2 guys in the crowd got picked out of the crowd to go fist fight, quite literally fist fight in the middle of the ring. As I mentioned, I think it was called like Free Brazil or something like that. I forget the exact name of it. I don't have it in my notes.
Isn't it Hype FC or something?
Hype FC. Yeah, Hype FC. Hype Brazil FC or whatever the fuck. Doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to ask you is, okay, listen, I think we all agree, Danny, that the Arman side quests have, in general, been a huge success. No one here is saying otherwise. He can't get fights for all the reasons that we already know. We don't have to relitigate it. So he's doing all the stuff at RAF. He's doing Hype Brazil. You name it. But at this point, I'm starting to get a little fatigued with them. I get the value in them. I think that there is value to them, and there's been an enormous up to this point. Are you with me that you feel like it might be starting to wane a little bit, the value?
No,
not yet.
I'm not. No, I mean that Georgia Polis thing was crazy. I think it's and they're doing the rematch on March 28th in Tampa. I'm actually gonna tell my editor to see if they send me out there because it's a big big match, and I think it should attract a lot of eyeballs. But I'm excited for that, and then maybe after that, we'll see if other opportunities come up that are exciting. But at least I have my eyes on that, and I do think that is exciting enough for me not to be bored yet with these side quests, as you mentioned.
See, for me, what happened in the first matchup with that dude kind of felt like, all right, this is the peak. You know what I mean? Like, I've had enough of this. Let's book this fight. Let's book this guy in a fucking fight already. You know, in a big one.
No, that's true. I mean, I do rather have him in MMA than any other form of fighting, whether it's grappling or wrestling or whatever.
And last but not least, for our side stories, I don't know what the fuck this is, but this is from Damon Martin, our former coworker. The UFC has officially announced a partnership with the FBI with a training seminar planned for March 14th and 15th in Quantico, Virginia. That is, of course, the FBI training headquarters. Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, Chris Weidman, and Renzo Gracie among those serving as instructors. Danny, simple question. What in the fuck is that?
I have no fucking idea. Look, there's an event at the White House, so you know, I'm not surprised by anything at this point, and yeah, just weird shit.
Here's the thing. It's like people need to understand what the FBI does, right? Like, we'll make this quick, but are there people in the FBI who would benefit from this kind of training? Are there field agents or other kinds of agents in tactical units, for example, that this could be very valuable? Sure. That is like 1% of 1% of 1% of what the vast majority of what FBI agents do and what their jobs entail. The vast majority of it is on a computer chasing money laundering. It's not this. This is the most insane fucking
fights.
Say again?
And rigged fights.
Yeah, and rigged fights. Yeah. It's like, bro, what the fuck is this? Like, what are we doing? The amount of the amount of ways that the UFC has enmeshed itself with world governments. And by the way, we haven't even talked about this, like with this war that's happening over the Middle East. Bro, the UFC, not for nothing, they went to Qatar last year. UAE, they go every October, and then some more. Saudi Arabia, those shows are going to have to go somewhere else. I don't think that they're going to go back there this year, and at least not anytime soon. But like the ability for the UFC to get money from governments by doing, you know, various different service contracts, quite remarkable the amount of money they're able to pull in, is it not?
Yeah. Cash Patel probably has a huge phoner right now. You know, watching that announcement. Yeah, weird one, but at least they're not like doing it with ice or something. You know, that would have been worse. So yeah, there's that.
All right, it's a weird ass time in the sport. That's it for our top 5. Now it's time for LIL to have us rank that card. Right?
Well, you just said it, Luke. It's everybody's favorite game. It is Rank That Card.
Rank that card!
It sucks.
You're up first. Which undefeated UFC fighter, undefeated in the UFC, has the biggest chance of losing tomorrow? Elijah Smith, Kevin Vallejos, or Bia Mesquita?
Is this for me or Danny?
This is for you, LT.
Okay.
Just rank them.
Elijah Smith. I haven't looked at the odds, but I don't think these other two are going to lose.
All right. Well, who's second most likely to lose?
Kevin and then Bia. I think Bia is going to run her over.
Danny, you have the same ranking, or you changing?
No, I would have put Kevin last. I'll put Elijah first, Bia, and then Kevin Vallejos.
Okay, fair enough. Bia, biggest favorite on the card, so you know, odds wise, she's most to lose. Danny, which debuting fighter is most likely to be ranked one day? I think I know what you're going to say here. Your boy, Hetcher Sosa. I can't say his name. Marwan Rahiki or Manuel Sosa?
I'm going to go Hetcher Sosa. Then Sosa, and then Rahiki.
Oh, see, some doubt in the Rahiki there. I see you, Danny.
Yeah,
you know?
but the opponent, save your money, man.
I already put it in, so it doesn't matter. LT, what you changing that at all?
I'll stay with Sosa. Then did he have Souza or so? How do you say the second Sosa?
Yeah,
and then Rahiki last. Yeah.
All right, LT. Who's most likely to win by finish? Jose Delgado, Mikdebek Oralby, or Jillian Robertson?
Fuck, that's a good one. Wow. Man. I'll go. Man, they all got a good chance, you know. I'll go Oralby, Robertson, Delgado. But I mean, you could play with that one.
Danny, what are you going?
I would go in the exact order that's being displayed. I would go Jose Delgado, Oralby, and Jillian Robertson.
Wow. So I'm going the opposite of both of you, and I'm going Jillian first, then Jose, then Oralby. I think the Oralby fight goes the distance. I don't know why. Danny, whose stock will drop the most with a loss on Saturday? Jose Delgado, Kevin Vallejos, or Bia Mesquita?
I would go Delgado, Mesquita, and Vallejos.
Really? You don't? I guess because he's still so young, Vallejos. You don't think he has that?
That
much
and Josh Emmett can put the lights on anyone. So
yeah,
you know, you can forgive that a little bit.
LT.
See, I disagree. I think if you're in a main event, I mean, it really depends on how the fight goes. But if Vallejos gets stopped, for example, which I don't think is likely, right? Obviously, but let's just say that it did. I think that would. I'm not gonna say ruinous because he's 24, but like in terms of where that would put his stock for the next 6 months to a year, yeah, I think it would hurt it. So I'll go him 1. Mesquita, I'll go 2 because she's kind of got a little bit of hype starting to build. And Delgado, I just don't think is quite there yet in terms of the hype. So I mean, part of this is hype, right? It's like what the bubble is around you. So I'll go Delgado last.
See, I feel like Bia's got to be 1. Just she's already, I don't know, top of my head, I think she's like 35, 34. Like she's already up there. There's so much hype behind her right now. She's not even ranked yet. Like you lose this, it's like, oh. But all right, LT. Who's most likely to avoid a second straight loss? Charles Johnson, Brad Tavares, or Iwan Kutalaba?
I mean, it definitely ain't Iwan. We could put him at the last of that list. He don't give a fuck, bro. You know what? I'm gonna go in the order you have it. Charles Johnson to me has been up and down. I recognize, but that fucker's good. Like he's a good fighter, and I believe in that. So I'm going to go Charles 1, Brad 2, Iwan 3rd.
Danny?
I agree.
See, I'm going Brad first. He's fighting Eric Anders. I feel like they're like such level playing field that like
he's fighting your boy.
He is fighting your boy. That'll come up later. So.
Anders could maybe tie him up and, you know.
Anders has been slipping recently too, hasn't he?
They're both coming off knockout losses, I believe. I think
Brad doesn't knock anyone out.
Tavares got knocked out by Robert Brichek, and Anders got knocked out by CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan.
Bro, Anders beat Chris Weidman in 2024, then lost to Christian Leroy Duncan, who turns out to be a good fighter, in 2025. And then this is his first fight back. So he fought like 1 time last year and got wiped, and now he's back. And I don't know. You know,
and he's old too, right? He's up
38,
30s.
yeah.
Yeah, and so is Brad, but I think they're the same age. All right, LT, or no, this is Danny, sorry. Most entertaining fighter on the card, Kevin Vallejos, Miktabek Oralby, or Jose Delgado?
Okay, is this in regards to their fight or just in general?
I think personality you could factor in as well, but you know, fighting style, a mix of everything.
Oh, I'll go Oralby, Vallejos, Delgado.
I think I agree with that.
That's exactly the way I would go.
All right. That was a tough one because you know there's a lot of exciting fighters on this card. I thought maybe putting Asplund in there for like the personality aspect, but you know, knowing LT, he would have put him last.
You think I hate this guy? It's like, dude, you don't want people who make it to the UFC because they lost a bunch of weight. Like that's what you don't want. Like, trust me.
His nickname's Concrete, but his stomach is flabby, like you know, wet concrete. But anyways, LT most likely to challenge for a UFC belt one day: Jillian Robertson, your boy Stephen Asplund, not Anders, or Bia Mesquita.
I mean, I think long-term Bia will do some pretty impressive things, but as it stands, I'm going to go Robertson, Bia, Steven.
Okay, not with even how, I mean, I guess Bia's in a weak division too, but with how weak heavyweight is, you don't think Asplund could get there?
No.
Danny, you changing that at all?
No, not at all. Robertson, Mesquita, Asplund.
I think I agree with both of you guys. Maybe Mesquita could get fast tracked. You know, like strawweight could get washy.
She's got the one you could see maybe. But the thing is, Robertson's so close already. It's like,
you know. But there's still like the Wei Lee fight that's clearly probably next. So it's like,
you're right.
You know, things could get murky. This one's for Danny. Underdog with the best chance of winning: Bruno Silva, Chris Curtis, or Harry Hardwick?
Curtis Silva Hardwick. You motherfucker! I'm telling you, man, you're losing that bet. Cash out, bro.
No, I can't. I gave it out and everything. LT, you changed
That's
it.
exactly the way I would go.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough. LT, who will have more UFC fights after tomorrow's card? Josh Emmett, Brad Tavares, Eric Anders, all of which are at least 38 years old. Josh Emmett, obviously 41 years old. So
I'm gonna go Brad Tavares 1 because that motherfucker is tough as shoe leather. And then I'll go Emmett and Anders last.
Danny?
I'm gonna go a little different. I'm basing this off relevancy, meaning they have. I see them having a little bit more life in the game, skill wise. Like they can hang in with the current talent. So I'm gonna go Emmett, Tavares, Anders.
Wow. I feel like just age alone, I got to put Emmett last. But Tavares, Anders, I feel like it's just whoever wins on Saturday will have the longer career. But Danny, last but not least, best nickname on the card: Eric, your boy Anders, Andre Touchy Feely, or Charles Energy Johnson?
There's only one good nickname on there. Yeah. I'm gonna go Touchy, your boy, and Energy.
Oh, are you high?
LT, what's yours?
First of all, put some fucking respect, Danny Segura, on Charles Energy Johnson. God damn. It's Energy, Touchy, your boy. Touchy could be a number one choice too, I recognize.
Touchy is supreme.
Touchy only works because of the last name. It's like a
That's what I
play
was
on
gonna
it.
say.
But like,
Touchy
well, I
as a
like nicknames
standalone
like
doesn't
the
work.
Axe Murderer or things. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be Silva. It just works. You know.
Yeah. We normally do most intimidating nickname on this, and I like to think like if you were fighting this guy, which would you be more scared of? And if we're doing most intimidating
Touchy,
here,
100%.
I don't know. I think well maybe
Dude, yeah.
does give Epstein vibes, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But,
I mean, we can all agree
Giddy
your
vibes,
boy
yeah.
is clearly the worst choice in every possible scenario. I mean,
dude, you got to fight your boy. It's like, what? That's my boy. I got to fight him.
yeah, I don't talk like that though. That's
Yeah,
the thing. I would
all
never
right.
use that kind of a thing.
All right. Well, that was Rank That Card, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Next up, we got What's My Age Again? So you guys know the drill here. I'll show you a fighter. We're going to go back and forth. So LT, you're up first. You got to give me their exact age. If you do not get it correct, I'm going to show you a video or a picture. You got to react to it. So first up, LT.
Now, hold on. One more time. Hold on 1 second. We got to get, how close do we got to get?
You got to nail it. Because
Gotta
last
nail
time
it.
I was giving you guys 1 year off and then you weren't getting any videos to react to. And
Okay.
you know, that's the fun part. So you got to nail it. Faraz Ziam.
I'll go 29.
Ooh, so close, LT. He is 28 years old. So obviously, Luke, you had a public beef. I know you don't want to, chime into it. I know you don't want to talk about it, but I did see this interview resurface and I thought it was funny.
First, I want to say we were by far the worst commentator and interviewer in the business. Actually, this is his third take. But,
See, people don't realize you guys were in the same room at the same time, but that was actually you there,
Yes.
Not sure what's going on.
Luke Shakur Stevenson Thomas. That's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's exactly it. All right, Danny, for you, we got Joe Pyfer.
Ooh.
28?
Ooh, again, Danny, you are 1 year off. He is 29 years old. Danny, I've learned from Prop Quiz that you'll bet on pretty much anything. In fact, we've seen some of your betting clips. Here we go. Here's one of them.
Thank you for calling the
Yes!
Gambling Helpline.
Come on!
Can I help you?
Come on! Sorry, wrong number. Come on, bring me my money. Bring me my...
Oh yeah, big time. Big
Dude.
time. And I go all in. I don't
Yeah,
I
you
don't play
do.
these games. Oh, 1 unit here. Nah, I'm putting the fucking bank.
You're the
I
Max
do. I will
Holloway.
say this on Jeopardy. I like it when they're like, "All right, I'll make it a true daily double," and they just fucking risk the whole shit. I love
Yeah.
that.
That is, yeah. I don't watch much Jeopardy.
I'm like
but
the Ion Kutilaba of Prop Quiz, basically.
No, you're the
you just
fucking
Hulk
Max
out on these
Holloway.
motherfuckers.
He's
the Max Holloway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Point down.
Or
let's
maybe
go.
the
Yeah,
Justin
I'll take
Gaethje,
it.
because sometimes you get caught doing it. But
That
you
is
know,
true.
Yeah.
Hey, but sometimes it
Hey,
pays off.
hey,
man.
live by the sword, die by
Yeah.
the sword.
Most
brother.
entertaining player. There you go.
Yeah.
LT, next up, we got Uros Medic.
See, he's bald as a motherfucker, but that's not quite right. 32.
Nailed it.
Yes.
Nailed it, LT. There you go. I can't even give you a video after
Very
that.
good. Very good.
All right, Danny, you got my boy Aljamain Sterling.
Ooh,
34.
he does look youthful.
Dude,
He does. He does. Great hair.
6 years
Good
old.
hairline.
36.
He's 36?
Yeah, I can't believe that either.
Holy shit.
Danny, how old are you?
33.
33.
By the way, quick pause here. I was talking to Kim about Yos earlier this week, right? And I'm thinking like, yeah, we're the same age, right? Like I'm in my 20s, like, we're cool, whatever. I'm hip. But then I was thinking, I'm like, shit, I'm almost 10 years older than the guy. And that kind of dawned on me that I'm
Bro, Danny, this is true. I was at my Spanish class. I'm not doing a fucking bit. I was at my Spanish class, and my teacher asked me how many grandchildren I have.
Oh shit.
How about that, motherfucker?
Yeah.
Actually,
I was like, I didn't know how to say I'm offended in Spanish, but I was like, what?
¿Cuántos nietos tienes? And you're like,
Yes.
fuck you.
Cero.
Yeah.
Cero.
That's
Oh,
hilarious.
fuck.
Danny, you ever wonder what your neighbors do when you're at work? Like, you get a package delivered and, you look at the Ring camera and you see some weird shit like this. Also, LT, I want to point out, someone sent this to me and said you used to live nearby. Did you? Is that true?
My dad grew up in Lawton, Oklahoma.
Okay.
And if
this
you've never
guy's-
been to Lawton, Oklahoma, yeah, buddy. Hell yeah, son. Bang those boxes.
You sure that's not a clip of BC?
It might be. I just don't know what he's doing in Oklahoma. Was there a showbox card there? Or
Bro,
something?
Lawton, Oklahoma is where Fort Sill is, which I had to spend time in the Marine Corps in because it's the home of like basically the military's artillery facilities. There's other ones, but it's a big one. And it's not, I'm telling you, you drive down Lawton, Oklahoma, it's nothing but bail bondsmen and pawn shops the entire
Bounty
fucking
Hunter
way.
and Pawn Stars. Let's go. Jillian Robertson, by the way, weighing in right now with the box.
Uh-oh.
Waiting for the announcement. Fitzy, where are you? Oh, they wait to pull the box out.
Okay, here I am talking shit about
I think
her
Lucindo.
opponent's weight.
I think she made it, guys. I don't think we have to worry. All
Limosh.
right. Next up, LT, we got for you Fatima Klein.
She's young. I'll say 27.
Oh, she is even younger than that, LT. She is 25 years old.
Jesus.
She
You
looks
ever
young.
seen when those brands make like collaboration things, like, I don't know, like an Oreo teamed up with, fucking the pudding company to make like Oreo flavored pudding and shit like that. This would be if me and BC teamed up to make something. Dong Island iced tea. LT, would you eat/drink this?
If I was with Brian Campbell and he egged me on, yes. Independent of in-person Brian Campbell peer pressure, no. But I've definitely seen Brian share the video of the guy at Yankee Stadium who used the glizzy as a straw in his beer.
Yeah.
You guys seen that one?
Yep. Have you seen this shit?
He loves that fucking video. So there is a circumstance where I would. Yes,
I
that's
gotta
very
say,
disgusting though.
On a dare, like, I'm not doing that in my spare time alone, but like if someone's like, yo, I'll give you $20 to fucking eat the Dong Island, I would do it. I would do it. I think I would. Danny, would you eat it or no? You're not into it.
No, see, I like nice things in life.
Speaking of nice things, Danny, how old is Montel Jackson?
Oh fuck, that's a hard one.
I will say this man is 31 years of age.
Ooh, he is a little older than that,
33?
Danny. He is 33, LT. Good job. Danny, I recently came across a gringo's trip to Colombia, and I got to tell ask you how accurate this depiction is. So here it is.
I think I'm in the wrong part of Colombia, but they said I'm family here, so I gotta drink some of this. First day of Colombia, cheers!
Yeah, they robbed me and took everything I have. Cheers. First day in Colombia. What a warm welcoming.
Is that pretty accurate, or
It can happen, especially if you go to Medellin, man. People try to, meet a lady of the night, and next thing you know, all their shit's gone.
I mean, I'll say this as the gringo, because Danny is not a gringo, but I am. I've had nothing but very safe and fun times, but I've also been protected by my family.
I was going to say, you're surrounded by non.
Yeah. No, they've protected me, obviously. But I'll just say, like, when I'm down there, Danny, and I'm sure you've seen it a million times too, you'll see the gringos in the middle of the, like you'll be walking somewhere and you'll see them, and it's like, oh, you're a target. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like you can
feel
just
that way
tell
in New
they
York
stand
City
out.
too, don't you? I feel that way in New York City too. You look at certain people, you're like, oh my god, can you please like stop looking at that map right now? You're gonna get your shit taken real quick.
Yeah, I mean, you may not be robbed like this asshole was robbed, but like they'll find a way to get your money if you're not careful in certain places.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
All right, LT. How old's Tim Elliott?
Oh fuck, he's older. 39.
You nailed it again.
Yes!
He was 39
Dude,
years
you're on
old.
fire.
Damn. All right.
Can't do this on prop quiz,
I
but
know. I was looking back at it though, LT, and you lost to Jed, who is now in the final of prop quiz, and you lost to BC the first time, who won that final. So really, you're just kind of losing to that. You're getting kind of screwed over with these matches.
But you know, I'm like that guy who just can't break through, right? I can beat the good fighters, but not the great ones. You know,
we need to get you against another defeated fighter.
You got to get me against a fucking scrub. That's what I need.
I want to do, not that Chuck's a scrub. I want to do you versus Chuck though. Just spitball, but there we go. All right. Danny, next up for you, we got Khalil Roundtree Jr.
Ooh. You're making Danny do a lot of black fighters. I'm just pointing that out.
Is that I haven't even noticed. I actually go this. I make sure I get one of each weight class in there,
and they look mad youthful. It's hard to gauge these ones.
Man. I feel like he's been around the game for quite some time. I feel like 35.
Ooh, Danny.
Can I try?
How old?
I'm gonna say 38.
No, Danny was closer. It was 36.
Danny,
while you were close, you were still short, kind of like this guy here trying to cross this lake. I mean, you could see things are a little hairy. You think he's gonna make it? I mean,
is there a motherfucking alligator that's about to jump out and eat this fool?
No. I think he makes it, dude. I think.
Danny, how many times have you ever just been walking by a joint and seen like a big ass alligator somewhere in South Florida? Oh, you bitch!
And then he fucking
Dude, those rocks got edges too, man. They're not smooth.
It's like ass wipe. Let go of the tackle box on the way down.
Use it to brace your fall. Something. LT, heavyweight is stacked. I got to give you a ranked heavyweight here, so I'm sure you know how old Mick Parkin is.
Holy fuck!
He's English. Keep that in mind.
Oh god damn. So then what is he, 16? I don't know. Let me think here. I'll just go flat 30.
Damn, dude, you're too good at this. You fucking nailed it. He is 30, but I feel like I got to show this anyway. Remember when BC was doing remember when BC was doing DoorDash and you were like, guys, seriously, check in on Brian Campbell.
Yeah.
Guys, seriously, check in on Brian Campbell. Well, at least he wasn't doing things like this, dude. I mean, god damn.
Are we sure that's not Brian Campbell?
Really not that bad. There was a video that went with this. It was a little too much, but I had to show just the glory hot dogs there, whatever it is. Anyways, Danny, last for you, we got, no, they are not dark skinned, Norma Dumont.
God.
Ooh.
Have I gotten one right?
You've been honestly, close like 3 times.
People usually never get them right. LT's just having a good day today.
Yeah, it's true.
I would say 34.
Ooh, Danny, you were close. She is 35 years old.
See what I mean? You've been like 1 year off like 4 times now. Yeah.
Danny, you made a reference earlier to ice, and obviously there's been a lot of ice videos going around. So I figure, might as well show another one here. Here's a bunch of people falling on ice.
Oh, these motherfuckers are where in Europe is this?
I don't fucking know, man. I was just hoping you guys would think I was showing you a nice video.
Because we don't have nice architecture.
Yeah, salt.
Well, I mean, just the small cars and I guess Hotel Concordia. I don't know where that is.
Well, that's it, guys. Maybe some of those were not that great, but anyways, that
last video was a dud. But
all right. Well, I was trying to make you think it was ice, Trump ice, and then it went.
It's all good. Yeah. All right, good job, Long Island. In general, really appreciate your contributions today. Oh, by the way, Long Island, what do you got to plug?
New prop quiz airing right after this. 24 minutes. We got Ben the Bane Davis taking on Mike Bond Winner faces Jed in the final for $100 and hot sauce. Also doing a full card watch along tomorrow. I'll be live at 4:45 Eastern time. Be there.
Bro.
This Chris Curtis McDebeck oral buy.
This motherfucker will do full card watch alongs, Danny, for these Apex cards. Full card watch alongs.
I respect the hustle, man.
That is a grind. Now, tomorrow should be better, but that's a grind typically.
Yeah.
All right, Danny, what do you got going on for coverage? Are you covering any fights this weekend? What do you want to plug?
Yeah, for my English work, check out MMA Junkie. It'll be all there. And for my Spanish language content in MMA, check out Hablemos MMA. And of course, you can find me on social media at Danny Segura. That's across at Danny Segura TV. Sorry, some asshole took at Danny Segura across all platforms.
There you have it. Danny, great job today. Really appreciate it. A reminder, of course, you can see all the socials here below. The shirts, morningkombat.shop. These are for all the, 3 designs, but then one of them, of course, is available both in the hoodie and the t-shirt. That's available until the end of this month. There's the Trasher one. There, of course, is the Delta 8 one. And then there, of course, is the McDonald's Wi-Fi. These are all available until the end of the month. Last but not least, morningkombat@gmail.com to reach the show. Danny, I'm sure we'll have you on again soon. Thank you so much for taking part in this. We really appreciate it. So for Long Island Luke, for Danny, I'm Luke Thomas. We'll see you guys on Monday. We'll react to everything then. And until then, may all of your gains. Oh, wait, yes, that's right. I'm sorry. May all of your gains be loyal.